Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the finale. Welcome to the final round of the ERA Sunday Championship. And folks, we're at the Temple of Speed. We are here out in Italy at Monza. And what better way to close up season 18 than with a circuit full of history. Make or break champions since 1922. 11 corners, 5.7 kilometers, has had an oval in the past and has been one of the quickest circuits in the world. Unfortunately, had to be gone and shortened down a little bit over the years, and also chicanes put in. However, has turned into a huge amount of fun. Fear for some, as we know from Italy with the SRO, unfortunately with 9 cars taken out in turn 1, but has been a championship decider in Formula to Tin Top Racing. This is gonna be our ultimate fight. And for the final round of mixed conditions, no one knows what's going to happen, whether rain, sunshine, cloudy, or if we're going to be able to hold on to sunny weather for an hour and a half around this legendary circuit. That being said, qualifying is underway, and it is our gold division currently out on the circuit at the moment. Finley Gamble is your champion in the gold division. All he needs to do is finish here tonight. He is currently on 69 points after the drop round. Finley Gamble will be taking the championship away from Lewis Knight, who is currently in second place. Lewis Knight was our defending champion, but now is holding on second place, but tied in points with Richard van Heerden. It is the UK driver against the South African. They are looking to fight it out, both on 47, both utilizing their drop rounds, and it comes down to who can one-up each other for second and third. Patrick Bells, who was one of our quickest drivers out early season on, unfortunately is holding on to fourth place. He will be trying to pick up the pieces of this race out in the BMW Red Bull Sim Racing team, and hoping that he can stay in for the solid fight. Rick Thomas will be also in for a brawl, 2 points behind Patrick at the moment, holding on to that top 5, and only 3 points ahead of Ulrich de Jager. The Griffin Sim Racing team continuing to keep up the fight in 6th place. Christian Fengler holds on to 7th position at the moment after a bit of a rough round at Red Bull Ring. He will be missing out crucial points. He's on 38 points. Diego Matos on 37. Chris Biermester on 36. 6 points ahead of Nico Lawrence. At the moment, though, Tristan Ocleon holds on to the top. Tristan has been one of our quickest drivers out in the gold division and been fighting out with our platinum division throughout the season. However, he has had a little bit of inconsistency that's taken him out of the race. Lies 14th overall, but can be a crucial player in for the championship points between Lewis Knight and Richard van Heerden. Chris Biermester also out on the track. Chris Biermester is 9th in the championship at the moment, 36 points. He is 1 point behind Diego Matos, 6 points ahead of Nico Lawrence, and 2 points behind Christian Fengler. Can look to go and maximize his points here at Monza to stay into the fight. Finley Gamble, all he needs to do, finish in the top 5. He's walked away with the championship and will be happy. The 2ID finally reclaiming the gold after quite some time. It has been many months since the 2ID team has managed to capture gold. He's holding on second place at the moment. Rich van Heerden up into third. That is going to be a pain in the backside for Lewis Knight as Rick Thomas moves himself up into third place. Lewis Knight coming and trying to fire back as much as possible, but it's Tristan Ocleon, Finley Gamble, Rick Thomas, David Christie managing to get across the line into fourth place for the Sky Tempest Racing McLaren, and he will be on a stellar charge, and hoping that he can get a solid run. He's lying at 15th at the moment, 2 points behind likes of Tristan Ocleon, so all he needs to do is get ahead of Tristan and win. However, it's going to be a tough time out there to see what he can do, as our gold division at the bottom of the rung is Ulrich de Jager holding on to that top 10. He wants to try and make a solid move. A 149.8 was set by him, but it's a 148.6 that currently holds on to the top of the order. and that is Tristan, with Finley Gamble trying to fire it back with a 148.9. Rick Thomas with a 149.1. We talk about a championship coming down to the wire. This is only just part of it. This is our gold division that have been fighting out all season long. Across 7 rounds now, they have been slugging it out. And who will be able to stand on top? Well, at the moment, Finley Gamble is that one, but second place, undecided. And also, we cannot count out. Patrick does have a shot to go in towards the top as well, as he lies 1 point behind Lewis Knight and Richard Van Rick Thomas lies 4 points behind them by the end of it. So Rick Thomas also has a chance here to go and join up in the fight for the top 3 spots. At the moment, though, Justin Ockleon up in Sector 1, up in Sector 3. He managed to get that 148.6, but Rich Van Heerden up into second place now. A driver that went and rolled a backdraft Cobra, landed up with a fracture on the spine, now returning to full flight action, holds on to second place and looking to try and capture the top 3, be in the top 3 of the ERA Sunday Championship for Season 18. We've only got 1 minute and 56 seconds left, and our driver's still pushing. David Christie, however, has decided he's done with his qualifying time. A massive welcome to everyone out in the virtual grandstands. Ruben Heineke saying, how's it from the Griffin Sim Racing team, and good luck, Griffins. After a phenomenal run in the endurance, Ruben Heineke is going to be looking to try and fight out in the Diamond Division as well. He's been capturing a few times, stepping onto the podium spots. Tristan Ockleon, though, currently up on the top of the run, a 147.7 as his fastest lap time. Richard with a 148.8. That's definitely going to raise a few eyebrows in our upper divisions, our Platinum and in our Diamond Division. I'll be looking at that 147 saying, right, what can I do? Can I get a bit closer? And is this going to help? So far, it is a Mercedes with Ferrari tailing on in second, third, and fourth. BMW holding on to that top 5. Then both McLarens of Rick Thomas and David Christie in 6th and 7th. They are unable to improve, sitting in the 149s at the moment. Lewis Knight, the defending champion, who will be handing over his crown tonight to Finley Gamble, who is fighting for second place in the gold division, now needing to try and see what he can do, as Richard getting dethroned from that second place. Chris Biermester manages to put himself up into first with a 148.5. Richard comes back up into third as Finley Gamble tried having a shot up towards the top. Rick Thomas boots him down. Richard down to fourth. Rick Thomas going to be lining up behind Tristan Ockleon with Chris Biermester around. Rich Van Heerden going to be next to him. Finley Gamble, Ulrich Diaga, Patrick, David Christie, Lewis Knight, and Sean Young rounding out our top 10, just managing to get a time on the board of 149.5 as they will be coming through, just ending their qualifying. 3 seconds, 2, 1, done and dusted for our gold qualifying. If you haven't got a time across the board now, that is you, done, dusted, game over. And Rick Thomas trying to give it one final push. Ulrich Diaga trying to give it a push. Patrick Bell's out in the BMW and Lewis Knight as well. Just hoping to get a bit up on their Delta. But we release our Platinum Division. And folks, it has been a brawl out in the Platinum as it's been the entire season. Defending champion David Roth fighting out for first place, looking to hold on to the crown for the Fear of the Bones team out in the Honda NSX, or the Acura NSX if you're out in the American region. Will be going and holding on to a solid fight. He's lying on 82 points after the drop round, lying in second place behind Henry Platt of the Moscow Motorsport in the BMW, holding on to 86 points after the drop round. Now, Henry Platt has to get the fastest lap and second place if David Roth wants to go and fight out for the first. That will tie them out in points. So this is going to be a solid run for the likes of Platt and Roth, as it's going to come down to who's got the fastest time and who can finish ahead of who. But don't count out third place. We got Chris Wall. He's busy trying to claw his way back in. He's on 68 points, only 4 points ahead of David Young, who's been having a go at him in the Delta One Racing Ferrari. David Young is only lying 4 points ahead of Herman Whitner, who holds on to that top 5. Daniel Matsusima, unfortunately, in 6th position. He is in no contention for the top 3. He will hold on to 6th with Andre Sorodio, who's out here tonight. lying on 34 points. Issam Domingo on 20, and David Broschke going and rounding out our 9 cars in the field. He's sitting in 16th. But we've got Wetler, Roth, Wall, Platt, Sorodio, and Young out on the circuit to set their times, and they got a 147.6 to beat. Let's see what they'll be able to do. At the moment, Wetler trying to get that little bit of run up the order, hoping that he can get a solid drive just ahead of him. Chris Wall out in the Aston Martin, a 2019 car that has been a top runner for quite some time. And he's going to be hoping to keep a solid fight through the order. A massive welcome to everyone once again out in the virtual grandstands. Crazy stunts out there going and shouting from the rooftops. And welcome to our final round of the season. And let's not forget, the final round means that we've gone and extended the race an extra 30 minutes. It's mixed conditions. It's not understanding of what you're going to have. It is all random by the server. And you are up to RNG to keep you going. The question is, who's going to be able to keep their solid run? At the moment, it's a little bit cloudy, a cool circuit to deal with. Driver's going to be more than happy with that, as tires will be kept alive that little bit longer. The question comes in is how much grip will be sustained during the course of this race, and also if there may be rain coming in a little bit later in towards the race. It is a possibility that it may be slowly creeping in from the countryside. Dev Roth, however, trying to go and push a little bit harder. He knows the pressure that's right on tonight. He knows he has to stay in for the fight. And also, we've got our Diamond Division with our likes of Ron Heineke, Rafa Sosa, and Sean Skitter. They're going to be out on the track. Rafa and Sean Skitter fighting out for that second place. And they will be clawing their way through. Christoph Peterson, who is away on holiday, does take the championship on 97 points. He's going to be keeping a close eye on which two of his friends are going to be able to take the fight between them. Marth Musa in 4th place with Ron Heineke. Ernest Lindbergs, unfortunately, the defending champion in the Diamond, not here tonight and will not be scoring points. He's been keeping a very close eye on how things go because he will be handing the crown over to Christoph Peterson. Once again, his teammate will be running at top. Milestone in 7th with Stephen Milano, James Baker, Frobler, and Jason Farmer rounding out the top 10. But it's David Roth up into 2nd place, Platt into 4th. A 148.3 set by Roth. Platt sits with a 148.5, needing to knock off 0.3 off his time if he wants to try and get a little bit closer. Currently down on his delta. Roth 0.05 up on his delta, but losing out through the long right-hander as he makes his way up towards the second of the chicanes here at Monza. Late on the brakes, trying to get it all sorted out. It's a quick left, followed by a quick right, a short straightaway with some hard braking up towards the double right-hander. And just trying to maximize the circuit at the moment, just not picking up the pace that he wants it. Chris Wall up into 10th ahead of Herman Wetner. And David Young holding on to that 15th position. Sorodio down in 16th, is not too worried at this stage of the game. He's just keeping a close eye on the field and just wanting to see how this all turns out. Can be the cork in the bottle here. David Roth trying to push a little bit harder. This makes his way into Ascari. This is a good time for him. Up 0.1. Same as Henry Platt. They're both matching each other in pace, in deltas. And ultimately, it's going to come down to which one of these two can one-up each other in the race to make sure they stay at the top. Roth hoping to get that final push as Henry Platt comes rounding out the final corner out of Parabolica, really giving it everything he's got. 0.2 up on his time, up into 2nd place. David Roth sits 0.1 up on his time. Herman Wetner up into 4th as Tristan Ocklown still holds on to the top. Roth managing to get a 148.2 dead, and Henry Platt's got a 148.262 in 3rd place. Herman Wetner sits with a 148.4 at this current stage of the game. Chris Wall trying to push a little bit harder with a 148.8, and the likes of David Young holding on to that 15th spot. Unfortunately, unable to improve on his delta as yet. He's trying to find that last little bit of time. So Rodeo waits in pit lane. Keep an eye. But we look towards the top as Henry Platt is in the pits. Roth trying to give it one last go. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. They will be utilizing these tires during the course of the race. So any sort of burn up now is going to cost them time and will land up affecting in the race. So it's whether you want to take that hard push, whether you want to see it work out. For David Roth, he's looking to try and open up the gap. He's going to be hoping that Herman Wepner will be able to move up into that third place to try and help block out the row a bit, forcing Henry Platt a little bit outside. Chris Wall as well, who's currently 0.1 up on his time, as we do see David Roth 0.1 up on his time, heading up to Ascari late on the brakes, trying to get it to work as he runs over the curbing, absolutely pushing as hard as he can. Once again, mounts the curbs, get out of shape. That's going to cost him time. David Roth from 0.1 up, lost out time through Ascari, and that is just going to play into the favor of Henry Platt. Herman Wepner matching his time, keeping his foot absolutely flat in the 296 as he comes across the line. And currently sits into 4th place. Chris Wall up into 7th. David Young still remains in that 15th position, 0.7 up on his time. So he's absolutely giving everything, trying to get into the 148. But Tristan Ocleon still holds on to the top of the leaderboard with a 147.6 in that Mercedes, and continues to try and see if it will be a top runner to move up against the Diamond Division of Ruben Heineke, Rafa Souza, Sean Skitter, Christoph Peterson, and Mahat Musa, who will be going out in the next 1 minute and 57 seconds. Roth currently 0.05 up on his time. Platt unable to improve thus far. Wepner currently not up on his time. David Young is a second up, but runs out wide, and David Young will not be able to get a time on the board this time, but will try and open up the corner as much as possible to see if he can give it one final shot. This is a Hail Mary, and unfortunately he's decided enough is enough. He's not going to do the Hail Mary. Herman Wepner now 0.05. David Roth up 0.1, getting pulled along by Chris Wall. Chris not on a banger lap, however, is going and pulling David Roth along, going and helping out his mate here to see if he can try and move him up just a little bit more. Platt holding on to 3rd place is a good starting point for him, as he will have the inside line heading into turn 1. The question is, will it be enough come the race to try and keep ahead of David Roth at this stage of the game? Roth once again hanging in the tow. He's trying to pull himself along that little bit more. Chris Wall runs out wide. He gave him the slipstream all the way through into Parabolica. Chris minds out of the way, says, it's up to you, buddy. Let's see what you can do. Roth coming through a 0.1. Is this going to be enough to get into the 147s? He comes across the line. Unfortunately, not a 148.0. No improvement into 1st place. He will improve his time into 2nd. Henry Platt will be more than happy with that one as Roth pulls off to the side. And with 18 seconds left in the tank for our drivers, it's coming down to the wire. Herman Wepner at the moment 0.15 up on his time. He's looking to try and push Platt into 4th place. The Extreme Sim Racing not to be caught out here against the Moscow Motorsports, as David Young and Andre Sorodio will start out in 15th and 16th at the moment. They are behind Sean Young and Lewis Knight, so that means they're right at the back of the pack. But our Diamonds have now hit the circuit and will be giving it everything they can. And there's 2 drivers to keep a very close eye on. The Spirit Onyx team of Rafa Souza out from Brazil, and Sean Skitter, the Logistical Nightmare Racing from South Africa, fighting out for 2nd place. And literally a single point separates them. Sean Skitter on 64 points, while Rafa on 63 look to stay at the top. Christoph Peterson is our championship winner. He just wants to circulate. This is just a great run for him. He wants to try and just walk away with the flowers here at Monza. Mahat Musa will be also just keeping a solid drive. Currently lies on 58 points. And depending if Sean Skitter and Rafa Souza don't have a solid result here tonight, they will be losing out a bit of time. And that allows Mahat Musa and Ruben Heineke, if those 2 get a podium, they'll be able to capture up into 3rd place. So Ruben Heineke and Mahat Musa do have a little bit of pressure chucked on them here tonight. But it is going to be Herman Wepner, David Roth, and Henry Platt. Wepner able to get up to a 148.060. Roth a 148.077. Platt in 4th place will be lining side by side against championship rival. Let's see if we can try and get a radio comms with Henry Platt to find out what he thinks about the battle that's about to ensue. So, with that being said, Henry Platt, can you hear us out there on the radio comms?
Yes, I can hear you, Stephen.
Alrighty-o, it looks like it's side by side between you and Roth on the second row, unless our Diamond Division can put a spanner in the works. 1 point deciding between it. How are you feeling for the, 4 points separating you guys in the Platinum class, but how are you feeling for the championship? It's an hour and 30 minutes, it's unknown conditions, and it comes down to who's the quickest and who can finish ahead of who in the Platinum.
Yeah, so that was actually quite close. I think that point was pretty vital for both of us, and then Pepper just came and snatched it up, which helped me. But yeah, it's all to play for still. I think it's going to be close, man. I hope no diamonds come between us now, so we can race from the start.
With that being said, Ren Heineke, Rafa Sosa, Sean Skidder, Peterson, all going around the track. How is the track out there? It's a little bit of cloudy conditions from what we can see up in the booth here, but also doesn't look too bad in terms of rain oncoming. How is the track feeling? Is it rather slippery out there, or is there a fair amount of grip to play with?
Yeah, it's a bit slower than normal. The track grip is actually on fast at the moment. So yeah, it's not really optimum, but I think I got a good lap in. I think that's like my best. I'm not the fastest guy, but I'll try and be consistent over the 90 minutes.
And with that being said, this championship has been a brawl between yourself and David Roth. Last season, Roth took the victory and walked away with the championship. What will it mean to you and Moscow Motorsport to go and win out here at ERA, as we do see Rafa Sosa taking up that second place at the moment with 147.8?
No, I'd really like to win it. I think I'm in a good spot. If you want to go into the last race, you need to be on top. So I just need to be like behind him all the time.
It's all about keeping the pressure. Well, we look forward to having a chat to you after the race. Good luck talking to the team, and I know the pressure is on. Looking forward to see what you can do out there, Henry, and hopefully your brother is going to be also cheering along from the sidelines.
Cool, man. Cheers, guys.
Henry Platt all the way out from South Africa, and we had a chat to him. Unfortunately, we haven't got David Roth to go and ask questions, but Rafa currently at the top of the lead, well, top of the diamond, with Sean Skidder in third place. Tristan Ockleon still holds on to the fastest lap of the race. Been fastest in Sector 3, but not the fastest in Sector 1 and 2. That's going to Rafa, and Roth managing to get the fastest in Sector 1. So Sean Skidder really trying to dial up the wick at the moment, see where he can do. Mahath Musa coming out onto the track. Peterson in 7th position at the moment, with Ren Heineke in 8th, trying to focus on their charge up through the order. And it comes down to who is going to fight it out all the way through. Rick Thomas currently holds on to 2nd in the gold division, wanting to try and fight out against his own teammate, Chris Biermester. The Extreme Sim Racing team been having a bit of jousting with one another in the pits, and it's good to see them out there. Rick Thomas also tuning in, busy saying how's it from the virtual grandstands from the pit wall side, going and keeping a close eye on what can happen here. Rafa out onto the main straightaway, 0.3 up on his time. This is going to be a good one. A 147.5 goes and moves him up and puts Tristan Ockleon down into 2nd place. Sean Skidder, unfortunately, no improvement here, will still hold on to that 3rd place. He is still sitting in the 148, and at the moment will be right behind the gearbox of Rafa Sosa. Christoph Peterson also not finding the time at the moment, with Ren Heineke 0.1 up on his time. So Heineke for the Griffin Sim Racing team absolutely trying his best to really move up through the order. He's stood on the podium a few times this season, and he wants to be able to do it again. But Heineke, at the moment, lying 5th in the championship, needs to try and get ahead of Mahath Musa, Rafa Sosa, and Sean Skidder if he wants to even look at that 3rd place. So it all comes down to the pressure as he moves up to 5th place behind Herman Whitner. Sean Skidder holds on to 3rd. Rafa into 1st. Christoph Peterson holds on to 8th place, fastest in Sector 1 on that last lap. So he is absolutely giving it everything he can. 0.1 up on his time. For Platt and Roth, They are hoping no one separates the two of them. They're going to be starting door to door at this stage of the game. And Christoph Peterson, if he slots in between, he can back up his teammates of David Roth to go for the championship. And Platt is well enough aware of that. Sean Skitter holds on third, runs a little bit over the curb, a little too quickly through Ascari, costing him a fair amount of time there, but able to pick up some time at the exit of Ascari. 0.3 up on his time. Sean Skitter not going and losing it at the moment. It's got one more corner to make it work for him. Through Parabolica, 2 minutes and 47 seconds left of quali for the final round of the season. It's time to make or break it, and all these drivers know exactly what they need to do. Keep their foot in it all the way to the very end. As Sean Skitter comes across the line, he's up in second place, forces Tristan Knockleon down into third, Herman Wepner into fourth. Heineke and Roth will start side by side. Platt will start behind Heineke with Peterson, with Peterson as David Roth's teammate right next to him. So Peterson better be up above David Roth to allow a chance. And as we do see, Rafa does lead Skitter. Peterson does move himself up to fourth. He will be next to Tristan Knockleon, but immediately Heineke fires back. He moves up into fourth place. Heineke is going blow for blow against Peterson and was quickest through the final sector. Heineke not going and losing time. Peterson down in fifth place at the moment, racing for flowers as he tries to keep a solid drive. Roth and Wepner will be side by side. Platt will be trying to close up the time. Sorry, it will be Wepner and Peterson there together. Roth and Platt are still running side by side with one another, and that is now confirmed because Peterson, Heineke, Skitter and Sosa remain ahead of our Platinums. But the talking point that everyone's going to be chatting down in the pits is third place is a gold division driver, Tristan Knockleon. Hasn't had the most successful season, but every time he's been out on track has always proven that he can stick out for the fight towards the sharp end of the field and looking to walk away with a podium here at Monza for the final round. Peterson looking to try and get going, but at the moment Rafa will be leading out Sean Skitter in the championship and will be looking at second place unless he doesn't run up with a good run. Bails down behind Peterson. Heineke is running down into fifth position, maybe even sixth, with Mahiath Musa at the cards as well. So this is going to be a tough one for Rafa to walk away with a second place, and it will be his second place in a row. Last season 17, came down to a single point defining the likes of Ernest Lindberghs, Christoph Peterson, and Rafa Sosa after Bathurst. Now it comes down to this Monza to turn it all on its head. Can Rafa at least go and capture some silverware ahead of Sean Skitter? Heineke comes across the line. He's unable to improve. Rafa down on his delta, but he is already happy where he is. Skitter into the pits. Peterson into the pits. Heineke last one out on the track that's up on his time as qualifying comes to an end. And our drivers now will set their sights to the race. Limited tyre sets, 2 pit stops, an hour and 30 minutes worth of racing. Fastest lap time in each category means it's 1 point, plus a victory means they walk away with 19 points. So 20 points on the line here for first place in each of our divisions. Diamond, Platinum, and Gold here for Server 1 of our ERA Sunday Championship. Rafa currently trying to push it a little bit harder, see if he can really make it work. Heading into Parabolica, trying to see if the McLaren's going to work out underneath him. Really doing everything he can in the 720S. Trying as hard as he can to make it get that little bit quicker. Unfortunately, not going to be enough. Will be out on first place, so I've got to be happy about that one. But Sean Skitter will be in second place at the moment unless Rern Heineke can pull a rabbit out of the hat in the dying seconds of this race. Unfortunately, running out wide through Ascari, costing him time. He won't be able to get any bit of pace down the straightaway here. It's going to be all down to Parabolica for the Griffin Sim Racing team as he launches it through the right-hander, trying to push as hard as he can to really keep it going all the way through. Rern Heineke, 0.01, trying to see if he can move up ahead of Peterson. Does come across the line. Unfortunately, no improvement. So, folks, it's come down to this. An hour and 30 minutes worth of racing with 2 mandatory pit stops, a time multiplier of 2. Track is 28 degrees. It is fast, but it is cloudy with a 6-kilometer wind coming from a about north at the moment. Our drivers will be going and running into a bit of a headwind down our main straightaway. But we cannot forget, we do have success penalties. And if you're joining us for the very first time, where have you been all season? Because, folks, it has been a season of note right here at ERA. We have seen some incredibly close racing. And it's coming down to this. Monza for one final shot. Our drivers will be looking towards it. Now, success penalty we give to each of our drivers to ensure the racing keeps rather tight between everyone. And that comes down to, if you came in first, you get 15 seconds. Sean Skitter has got that. 15 seconds to try and overcome during his pit stop. 10 seconds if you came in second place. Christoph Peterson was fighting out for second place. He's got 10 seconds, with Rafa having to serve 5 seconds that he didn't get to serve in his last run here, which was at Red Bull Ring. So Rafa is going to be hoping to try and move up through the order. But that is in every division. So Henry Platt, who is fighting out for the championship, has got 15 seconds to deal with. David Young has got 10 seconds. He's going to have to try and overcome. Well, we cannot forget, David Roth has got nothing underneath it. Herman Whitner also has got no success penalties. That is going to be the catch here. Platt is on the back foot amongst his own division. Chris Wall has got 5 seconds he needs to serve after coming third place. But also in our gold division, we've got Rick Thomas, who's got 15 seconds he needs to overcome to try and fight out. And he's going to be battling against his own teammate, Chris Biermeister, who holds on to that top 10 at the moment, who has got no success penalty. Lewis Knight, who came third, has got 5 seconds to fight it out. And Lewis Knight needs to ensure he comes right at the top for the gold division to get ahead of Richard van Heerden, who has so far qualified in 12th position, has no success penalty added on. And it's going to come down to the wire between them. Who has got enough in the bag to push that little bit harder? And at the moment, all eyes are going to the sharp end of the field. Rafa Sosa, Sean Skitter, they're fighting out for second place in the championship. You've got David Roth and Henry Platt, who are fighting out for first in the Platinum Championship, trying to give it everything they can. Richard van Heerden in 12th, fighting for second against Lewis Knight in the championship for our gold. It's come down to the final race of the season to give it one big push, to give it that last little shove across the line to really make it work here for ERA. And this is where everyone has to question, have they got enough in the tank to fight it out till the very end? Have they got enough of a push to really see what they can do with an hour and 30 minutes on a 2 times multiplier around the circuit, which means the day is going to go very, very quick. The track is going to change quite drastically during the course of this race and can ultimately play either in the favor in moving forward or losing out a little bit of time and the championships getting lost right at the wire. I mean, this is where we're at, folks. It is time for our final race of Season 18 right here in Server 1 for ERA. It's Evolution Racing Academy. It is some of the best ACC drivers to fight it out, and with championships on the line, up and down through the order, who is going to have the legs on one another? Folks, this is it. And now we get to see the drivers going off the start-finish line for one last time. So with that being said, let's take a look as we got Rafa Sosa out in first place. Sean Skitter will be in second. Tristan Ocleon up into third. Christoph Peterson in fourth place. Ruben Heidecker will be in fifth. Herman Whitner in 6th position. David Roth in 7th. Henry Platt in 8th, along with Rick Thomas, tying out with his teammate, Chris Biermeister, in that top 10. Chris Wall looking to go sleeves off in 11th position, with Richard Fanietta fighting out for 2nd place in the gold division in 12th. Finley Gamble, our championship winner for the gold division, looking to walk home with the flowers here tonight. Will be starting out in 13th place, with Ulrich de Jager trying to chase him down in 14th. Patrick Bills holds on to 15 with Darren Christie, Lewis Knight, Sean Young a little bit further back, David Young, Andre Sorodio rounding out the pack, going and lining up behind his teammate of Project Vapor, Mahath Musa, looking to try and fight his way up the order. It's coming down to this, folks, and we do see Rich Vanietta into the pits. Richard is not going to start on the green and will be starting from pit lane, and that is going to be much to the delight of Lewis Knight. If Lewis can get the great start he needs, Richard will be on the back foot. So this is where it comes down to a fight of note. You can see drivers trying to generate as much heat into these tires as possible, trying to see what they can do to get as much heat into the brakes here at Monza, as it's a lot of straightaways. It is a bit chillier out in air temperature, which means these tires and brakes are going to cool down quite a bit as they go blasting down the straightaways. However, the drivers will have to think a little bit outside of the box. There's always that concern of turn 1 and what it's going to look like. Well, with 21 cars lined up, 20 will be going on the green, with Richard Fanietta leaving pit lane to try and follow up. It all comes down to this: who has got that extra push? For Sean Skitter and Rafa Sosa, they're going to be hoping Tristan Ocleon doesn't get in between them and causes a scuffle, because the last thing they want is to get pushed down behind Peterson and Heineke to lose out time. Wepner, looking to try and walk away with the final checkered flag here in the Platinum Division, can play a very crucial role for David Roth and Henry Platt, who are fighting out for the championship. Both Roth and Platt need a victory or need to finish ahead of one another if Wepner is leading at the top of the pack. If Wepner is going to stay at the top, they are going to need to beat one another out and ensure that neither walks away with the fastest lap of the race. Down in towards Parabolica, the final corner. For the last time of Season 8, all the beasts will be calm. The rumbles of the motors go and echo around the Temple of Speed here at Monza for the final time for Season 18. It is calm before the storm. Rafa Sosa, Sean Skitter at 70 kilometers an hour will be looking to jump off the line. And who is going to be first into turn 1? Who is going to see the checkered flag at the end of the race? Who is going to call themselves the champions? Folks, we are ready to go. And green, green, green as Rafa gets on the throttle. Sean Skitter trying to go and get an early jump off the line. Tristan Ocleon, a fantastic start from him in the Mercedes as he tries to slot himself up. It is a bit of a poor start for Christoph Peterson, who gets jammed behind Sean Skitter, and it's David Roth up into second. Oh, it's just contacted back. Roth off of the circuit. Rafa lands up going wide. Sean Skitter, and it was Rune Heineke who had a little bit of a whoopsie daisy as well, and that caused a little bit of a problem. Let's quickly go to the helicam and try and see what happened, because it was Rune Heineke who was right in for the mix. Now that has just changed up a bit of how the championship is going to go, and I think Heineke got a little bit of a push from behind, possibly to dump him forward into the back of the Fear the Bones drivers of Christoph Peterson and to the likes of Roth. So Roth got a phenomenal start. He went down the inside trying to see if he can move up on Wepner 3 wide. It was a great start coming in from our Henry Platt, who also slots himself. He backs out of it. It's late on the anchors, concertina effect, and Chris Wall started part of that contact, which landed up having all three of the Extreme Sim Racing team getting knocked. Lewis Knight gets turned around. Ulrich Diaga touching noses with the likes of David Young. They were going and seeing what they could do. Unfortunately, not what you want to have, and not quite the chef's kiss you want to have. Tristan Ocleon shuffled down into 8th position, as now he's got a bit of pressure from Chris Biermester, and Patrick Bell's onto the pressure as well. Rafa Sosa leads. Sean Skitter, Peterson, Wetner, Platt, Wall, Gamble all continue on the charge. Tristan Ocleon trying to keep it all together as Patrick gets ahead of Chris Biermester, and now trying to charge his way through. Patrick up into 3rd in class, now tries to chase down Ocleon. Gamble leads out with the fastest lap in the gold division as Chris Wall trying to get a little bit defensive against Gamble. These two have shared battles once, twice, 3 times more. The Logistical Nightmare Racing Team and 2ID go back a long way in endurance racing. A long way here in ERA Sunday Championship. It has been a long fight between them, but between these two drivers, there's incredible history as well. Sorodio up into 14th, fighting out with Darren Christie, who's trying to keep him at bay. Side by side they go, but it is going to be Sorodio to get the run. Goes to the middle of the circuit, up into 14th. Darren down into 15th. Roth down into 16th position, and is currently sitting in 5th overall. This is a nightmare for his championship, and we'll be considering what he needs to do for the pit stops. Heineke into the pits and Ulrich Diaga into the pits as our 2 Griffith Sim Racing team drivers into the pits. Richard Faniera left pit lane. He is a miles way back from the rest of the field and is yet to complete a lap. He had a bit of a late start and now is just trying to hunt his way back into this race, as Lewis Knight will be quite thankful for that and still has a chance to try and hold on to that 2nd place, but he needs to try and close up to Patrick, as he does see one of the Extreme Sim Racing drivers, Rick Thomas, go out wide. Lewis Knight is able to close up and get past. So is Sorodio and Darren Christie, as Rick Thomas now trying to pick up pieces of his race. Patrick, at the moment, 1 point behind Lewis Knight, will be taking up 2nd place. Rick Thomas, unfortunately, is lying 2 points behind Patrick and has just lost out a lot of time. He's going to try and have to pull himself back from the brink. Sean Skitter loses out to Christoph Peterson, who dives down the inside. Herman Whitner immediately keeps the pressure on, and Whitner leads out the Platinum class with Henry Platt looking to take win here. Chris Wall loses out to Finley Gamble, who gets a bit of a poor drive. Tristan Ocleon says thank you very much on that one. So does Patrick Bells, and immediately Chris Biermester moves up through the order behind Musa around the outside of Finley Gamble, who's going to be more than happy with that. So now, let's take a look. Finley Gamble was behind Chris Wall, trying to see if he could go around Tristan Ocleon right on the back of him. Gamble trying to go around the outside into turn 1. Looked for the undercut. Couldn't quite get it. A little bump in the rear. Tristan Ocleon gave a little bit of a nudge as well. Finley Gamble, out of respect, went and hit the brakes, but didn't expect the likes of Chris Wall to get going so quickly, and that cost him a fair chunk of time in the race. Richard Faniera back into the pits. Richard not going to be having a solid run here and looking 2nd place, slipping out of the reach, possibly even 3rd, going and losing out for the South Africans. So an early stop, but hoping that he could get back out on the track. Herman Whitner pulling along Henry Platt at the moment. Platt more than happy to hold into 2nd place if David Roth remains where he is. David Roth holds on to 5th position behind Sorodio and is 1.2 seconds back. So at the moment, Platt is in a comfortable position to hold on to that top spot. But it is going to help out the likes of Herman Whitner, who's currently holding on in 5th in the championship. He needs to finish out in 1st if he wants to have any chance of going after the top spot. However, he needs Chris Wall to shuffle on the way down. And him losing out a little bit of straight line. The BMW having a solid run. Henry Platt closing off the door. Says not going to happen. Whitner trying to get into the back of him. Unfortunately, it's going to be Platt going and out braking himself. And immediately Platt saying, no, sorry on that one. Whitner says thank you very much. Sean Skitter, who was a little bit slow into turn 1, not too phased. Myers Musa moving up. Sorodio unfortunately getting a bit out of shape into turn 1. Loses a bit of time, and immediately this has allowed David Roth to have a look down the inside. Roth moves up into 14th overall, and once again bringing him closer into the points. He's up into 4th, and Sorodio down into 5th. This is not what Henry Platt wants to have, neither does Chris Wall, as they keep a very close eye. Everyone running a little bit into the dirt on the exit. Lewis Knight pushing harder and harder. He's got Darren Christie ahead of him out in the McLaren and trying to see if he could just get that Nissan GTR, that big nose of the Nissan, ahead of Darren Christie, who tries to hold on for the fight. Lewis Knight, who's doing everything he can, needs to catch up to the BMW, lying in 7th position of Patrick for that second place to hold. However, it's going to be a nightmare, and you cannot count out Rick Thomas also having an opportunity here if he gets a solid run up through the order. He's got a 15-second deficit he needs to break away from. That's going to cost him time. Christoph Peterson holds on to the fastest lap of the race in our Diamond Division and is our championship leader. He's taken away that single point away from Rafa Sosa and Sean Skitter, now saying, right folks, you two fight it out with a single point separating you two. Whoever wins between you two will set up the championship. And Sean Skitter is currently lying in 3rd with Rafa up into 1st. And that's going to play into Rafa holding up into 6th place come the end of this championship. Looking a bit further down in the order though, Rick Thomas pulls into the pits. Herman Whitner with a best lap time of 1:49.1 holds on to 1st place, but it is Henry Platt with a 1:48.9 holds the quickest lap times in the Platinum Division. That is going to help Platt with that single point ahead of Roth, which is what he needs to keep going. Chris Wall holds on to 3rd place for the Platinum. Tristan Ockleon, Patrick Bells and Chris Biermeister hold on to the top 3 of our Gold Division as well. They fight within the top 10, absolutely giving it everything they can. We've seen those pit stops creeping in early on. Rick Thomas trying to see if he can get ahead of Rern Heineke, Ulrich Diaga, and Richard van der Heerde. Unfortunately, with a stop go 32nd for speeding in pit lane, is just having his championship sliding out of his hands right now, and not going to be smiling on that one, but will be trying to push that a little bit harder to see if he can claw some bit time back. Unfortunately, next time in the pits is 30 seconds, plus he has to serve his mandatory pit stop that needs to be done. You've got 2 mandatory pit stops you need to serve during the course of this race, and ultimately it can cost you a bit of time. So Rodeo keeping pressure on Roth at the moment, and for David Roth, he wants to try and get past Lewis Knight. He does not want to lose out to Serodio as Platt goes around the outside of Whitner. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite get it done. Whitner says thank you very much. He gets to drive on the Ferrari to try and creep up back through the order, and that's going to allow Tristan Ockleon to get back into the tow. And Tristan, who can foul up a little bit of time here for Platt and Whitner, but ultimately can prove a solid drive on his part to stay at the top, has got Patrick Bells and Mahath Musa fighting out a little bit behind them in a train. Chris Wall, Chris Biermeister, and there we go. Finley Gamble down the inside, try to take a look on Biermeister, couldn't quite get it done, but definitely showing his nose. Serodio tried to show his nose on Roth, but lost out the drive to Lewis Knight. It's still early days here in the race, and drivers are already trying their chances to move up through the order. Rern Heineke, who pitted early on that first lap after the contact, is up into 18th position, 1 lap down at the moment, but is leading out those who have pitted and got their first stop done and dusted thus far, and still having an opportunity to move forward. Mahath Musa gets on by as Patrick now trying to defend against Chris Wall, who holds on for 3rd in the Platinum Division. Patrick holding on to 2nd. He does not want to lose sight of Tristan Ockleon, and he does not want to be brought into the clutches of that red Ferrari behind him of Chris Biermeister. Finley Gamble holding on to 4th position with Darren Christie right behind. Chris Wall in a little bit of no man's land here. He's going to be sitting a bit frustrated, trying to see if he can get on by it. Looks down the inside, heading into Ascari. Couldn't quite get it done. Patrick managing to keep his nose forward, and Chris Wall having to try and get the drive out of Ascari as Patrick jumps over the curb. So does Biermeister, losing out that little bit of drive, but it does look like Biermeister has got a far better drive over the Aston Martin as they dive down the straightaway. It is going to be nose to tail, and unfortunately for Chris Wall, it's going to be late on the brakes. Around the outside, a little bit of argy-bargy. Chris Biermeister runs out wide, tries to bring it back, and Finley Gamble now sees an opportunity. He's bringing Darren Christie in for a bit of a tow as well. Darren Christie seeing his opportunity to come in for the fight, and Finley Gamble now looking for that top 3. He wants to walk away with the flowers here. Platt getting ahead of Wepner into turn 1. And that immediately allowed Tristan Ocleon to have a look at him. And now Wepner trying to fight it out against the leader of the gold division. Hugging the inside line. Tristan around the outside gets it done and dusted. And Tristan now sets his sights firmly forward towards Henry Platt. Late on the brakes. It's contact! Contact behind. Wepner and Tristan Ocleon. Contact behind. And my heavens, if that could get any closer to Henry Platt, that would have absolutely ended his championship reign in one fell swoop. If that was a look in the mirror, you would have heard an absolute skid mark of note. And here it is. Wepner tried to get the dive on Tristan Ocleon, outbraked himself, went into the back of Ocleon, nearly careening into the back of Platt. He did wait out for Tristan Ocleon, who went and wiped against the wall, but that unfortunately will have put damage on Tristan Ocleon, which does play into the favour of Patrick Bells, who holds on to second place. Wepner has got a little bit of damage to the sharp end of his nose, and that will be costing him a bit of time. Patrick Bells trying to keep ahead of Chris Wall as they nail it down the back straight, heading towards Parabolica. Looks down the inside for Chris Wall. He's going to try and go a little bit late on the brakes. Patrick stuck on the outside, losing a little bit of time here. And Chris Biermeister now has an opportunity to move forward. Wepner, unfortunately, going and doing a prostate check on Tristan Ocleon. Now will be going and scratching his head because he's going to be looking to repair some damage to his car, and Chris Wall will be closing up. Chris Biermeister will be getting reports back in saying, come on, you got to move forward. It's Finley Gamble down the inside of Biermeister, and it's forces Biermeister off in towards the chicane, loses out the time. Gamble going and losing out that little bit of a run. And immediately, Darren Christie saying, how's it? I'm back. David Roth and Sorodio hang on right behind. And they are keeping a solid push. Drivers are giving it a little bit much here, and they're trying to fight so early on. Gamble looks down the inside of Chris Biermeister. Once again, the two elbow to elbow, knees to toes. And it is going to be a run for Roth, as it's just an all boxed in moment for Roth. Caught on the outside of Darren Christie. Gamble goes around the outside of Darren, gets right into the back of Chris Biermeister. Roth trying to see where he can move forward. He's got Sorodio all over the back of him. Sorodio looking to move forward. Darren Christie losing out a little bit of drive. He's boxed in. Roth is going to go down the inside as Darren Christie gets squeezed in. He's looked to try put it 3 wide, but the McLaren not big enough. Looking to go 4 wide. This is going to be rough for even Sorodio to try and take a look. Sorodio sends it down the inside of Darren Christie. Finley Gamble loses out to Roth. And man, oh man, you couldn't get close if you tried it. Chris Biermeister off into the dirt. And that has just brought Lewis Knight back into contention. So is David Young moving up in the order. All going wrong at Ascari. And drivers shuffling up and down in the order here. Finley Gamble puts the pressure back onto David Roth, seeing where he can go. It is going to be Sorodio losing out time as he went out wide. He tried to bait a move down into pit lane. It didn't quite work. Lewis Knight will tail him through. Darren Christie into the pits. Lewis Knight, David Young will follow in tow. They're pulling each other along. And immediately you can see Sean Young not completely out of it. It's contact. Lewis Knight sends it into the back. Lewis Knight has sent it into the back of Finley Gamble, taking out the top runner. Oh my heavens, folks, we just got to see an absolute disaster of a crash at the back. Sorodio going and surviving, Young surviving, Roth surviving, but Lewis Knight, who got caught out under braking, dives into the back of the Project Vapor, swings across, and it wasn't Finley Gamble, it was Sorodio who got sent into oblivion. Lewis Knight with severe damage to his nose, and that is going to hurt him in the run. So Lewis Knight, at the moment, has dropped down the order, which means that the podium is looking towards the likes of Patrick to go for that second place. Lewis Knight, the defending champion, having a nightmare of a race here. Rick Thomas moves up ahead of Darren Christie. He's managed to climb up through the order, slowly but surely picking up a position. And it's now going to be Rick Thomas trying to hold on for the run. Ruan Heineke will be having a solid move up through the order. Patrick, unfortunately, falls off. Patrick is off. Patrick is off. Lewis Knight passes him. Lewis Knight gets past Patrick Bells, and that means it once again swings in favor of Lewis Knight for the championship in the gold division. It is up, it is down, it is all round, and we are seeing it here. David Young putting pressure on Finley Gamble, trying to see if he can move up forward. Finley Gamble holding on to that top 10. He is keeping the pressure on David Roth, who holds on to 4th position in class. Finley Gamble squarely underbraking into turn 1. And Herman Wepner holding on 2nd in the Platinum division. Chris Wall in 3rd. Henry Platt leads out. Rafa Sosa looking to take 2nd place ahead of, in the championship, ahead of Sean Skitter if he remains in 1st. And has so far got the fastest lap of the race in that division. He is absolutely giving it what they can. And so far, folks, it is not done yet. We got an hour and 12 minutes, and we have seen drama out of every little point of the circuit here at Monza. This weekend was drama in the SRO, and it looks like for ERA it's going to be the same as Roth. Nearly loses it in the dirt. He manages to grab it after fishtailing around, and immediately Gamble and Young saw an opportunity to try and move forward. David Young trying to claw his way back into the podium. He wants to try and finish on a high in the Platinum. He's 4th in the championship. He needs to get a bit closer to Herman Wepner and Chris Wall if he wants to try and hold on. 4 points separate Wepner and Young at the moment, and whoever finishes between the two of them ahead of one another will be holding on to that 4th place. And if Chris Wall tapers down the order, that is also going to change things. Chris currently holds on to 3rd place, and he's only 4 points ahead of David Young, who's lying down in 11th position at the moment. He is trying to bring himself back into it. Lewis Knight and Richard Vaniera still in pit lane. Lewis Knight with severe damage to his car, watching the championship slip on by. This is getting wild, and Ulrich Diaga loses it. Diaga loses it. And oh my heavens, he's trying to get himself going, spins the car around. Ulrich Diaga lost that little bit of momentum, and now just trying everything he can to bring it back from the brink. Rafa Sosa holds on to the lead of the race. Peterson, Skitter, Platt, Ocleon, Musa, Wepner, Wall, Roth and Gamble hold on to the top 10. Myeth, Musa and Wepner fight out for 6th position at the moment. Wepner 2nd in the Platinum. Myeth Musa lying 4th in the Diamond class, putting pressure on Tristan Ocleon, who leads out the gold division. Tristan Ocleon, who originally started in 3rd place, and due to contact with Herman Wepner, threw him back down the order. Now Wepner's trying to pick up the pieces of the race here. He knows that he's in for a solid run, but he needs to make sure it is a solid run through the order. He needs to see this through to the end in the highest position possible to try and hold on for that going for that 3rd place, to try and get ahead of Chris Wall and David Young. However, Chris Wall holding on to 8th position means that he is close enough to Wepner to prevent him from trying to get into 3rd. This is turning into a race and a half, and the nightmare story coming in for Richard Vaniera, who will be going and losing out 3rd in the championship. On the last race, wasn't able to make it to the grid on time, got a stop-go 32nd for coming out of the pits too quickly here at Monza, and now just watching the racing as it goes on by. Wepner keeps the pressure onto behind Musa. Tristan Ocleon going and becoming that cork in the bottle right now, trying to push it on. Henry Platt 7 seconds behind Sean Skitter, 4.5 seconds here against Tristan Ocleon. Myeth Musa and Wepner trying to close up that gap, and we could just see the roof of Platt's BMW as he comes on by. Patrick into the pits to try serve his pit stop. He will be looking to try and keep a solid drive. Seeing Lewis Knight having some major repair to his car will go and bring a lot of comfort for the championship there. David Young trying to put a bit of pressure on Finley Gamble, who goes and leads out the gold division in the championship. Finley Gamble holding on to 2nd in the gold, trying to keep it going. David Young now looking to try and see where he can get on by. Sorodio all over the back of him, looking left, looking right, can't find a way past us yet. Chris Biermeister in third place of the gold division, keeping on a solid charge as Patrick jumps down the order. Heineke, Thomas, David Christie all coming on by. And still trying to give it that final push. Absolutely great stuff to see the drivers going and giving it a solid run all the way through. Our drivers giving it that one hard push. Now, just doing a little bit of math here. Platt will be taking the victory if he remains where he is. Roth, however, is in a little bit of nightmare case scenario against Chris Wall. If Chris Wall is able to get a climb up through the order. Oh, as we nearly had a problem coming in. Sorodio and David Young. Sorodio throwing the car out wide to just try and avoid going into the back of David Young. He did not want to spike him in the back. He had to wind it out, and now that has brought him into the clutches of Chris Biermeister. The Extreme Sim Racing now having an opportunity to claw his way up towards the top 10. Chris Biermeister currently holding third in the gold division, having a solid run. And Chris Biermeister, who's looking to try and capture yet another podium in the race. So each of our drivers giving it a hard push right the way through. Chris Biermeister, who's only captured one podium this season, looking to try and put himself right onto the top again. Slowly but surely been fighting his way up through the order. Now sees Sorodio ahead of him, has an opportunity. David Young having a little bit of a look at Finley Gamble. Couldn't quite get that drive. Mahath Musa still keeps pressure on Tristan Arcleon as the race settles down. An hour and 6 minutes to go. And so far, we've seen all the way from Heineke, Thomas, David Christie, Diaga, Patrick Bowles, Lewis Knight, all managing to get their pit stops done and dusted. Unfortunately, it looks like a retirement for Rich Pineda. He's going to be, unfortunately, out of it. But 15th position is Rern Heineke, who is the marker of those that have done their first pit stop. And where is it going to go? As Tristan Arcleon defends against Mahath Musa, forcing Musa around the outside. Tristan holds the inside line, elbow to elbow, knees to toes, and it is going to be Musa. Creeps up ahead, later on the brakes, comes off a little bit earlier, and immediately onto the throttle. Tristan Arcleon steps up, falls in behind into the top 5. Fennell Racing going and pushing as hard as possible down the gears, trying to see what he can do against Mahath Musa ahead of him. Herman Wepner holds on for that second place in the Platinum Division, and all he needs to do is keep that going, because Chris Wall behind him has got a 5-second penalty, success penalty he will need to serve on that pit stop. David Roth, who has got no success penalty, looks at Chris Wall. He's right up his gearbox, currently 0.5 as they make their way through. You did see Finley Gamble and David Young cruising on behind. They're trying to close up the gap to these two as well, as we got this little bit of a back and forth of seeing who can move forward, who can stay at this stage of the game. But at the moment, our Platinum seems to be swaying in the favor of Henry Platt if Roth stays where he is. However, looking at the times, it is going to be Platt with a 148.5 as his quickest lap time. David Roth sits with a 148.7. Roth hasn't been able to get a faster lap time in the class, and that is slowly but surely been eating at him. But Chris Wall sits with a 149.4 as his best lap time, a 149.6 on his last until he comes across the line. Now we'll take a look. He does improve a 149.3, slows Roth up to a 148.9. Roth is not finding that pace underneath him and needs to try and get past Chris Wall as quick as possible. Side by side they go, and it's going to be Roth down the inside to get it all hooked in. A little bit late on the brakes, lost out a little bit of time there, and immediately that's allowed Chris Wall to come back fighting. Unfortunately, couldn't keep that drive on the way out. So tough racing up at the sharp end of the field. Everyone looking for an opportunity to walk away with a gold. Everyone looking to try and stay at the sharp end of the order. The question comes down, who has got enough in this race? We're expecting pit stops to really take effect with 45 minutes to go. But still, we have seen those big risk takers. Ren Heineke, after an early accident, trying an earlier stop. And also, he got joined by his teammate, Ulrich de Jager, both Griffin Sim Racing team, deciding they're going to go for that early stop and see where it comes out and how far it can push him up through the order. And that has then brought in a slew of drivers thinking the same strategy. The early stops may be the better one here. Others trying to go that little bit longer in the race. Everyone trying to think outside the box of what they can do, with only one retirement in this race, and that's Rich van Heerden, who's fighting for that second place in the championship. Now just watching on from the sidelines and just keeping an eye, supporting out his friends there and seeing what they can move up through the order. Tristan Arcleon keeping the pressure on behind Musa now, trying to show what he can do. The gold driver going and showing the diamond driver, I'm not quite out of this. I've got an opportunity. It hasn't been my season, but I have really gone and stepped up the pace and will be fighting out on the diamond in due course. Right behind him, Whitner trying to close up. He's 1.4 seconds back on them, trying everything he can. Second in the class at the moment for the Extreme Sim Racing team, and having his opportunity. Chris Wall going after David Roth at this stage of the game, trying to close up on the Nissan. That Honda just starting to leg it. Well, sorry, not Nissan. The Honda legging away from the Aston Martin, as Chris Wall trying everything he can to really dig deep and push that a little bit harder up through the order. But the times are still showing. Chris Wall needs 5 seconds to shake off. David Young, 10 seconds. Henry Platt, 15 seconds. Sean Skitter down into third place. It's going to be a nightmare for him to try and catch up to Rafa Sosa, who's only got 5 seconds he needs to shake off his time. Tristan Arcleon, our closest fight against Mahath Musa at the moment, as the pace settles down. Drivers getting into their rhythm, just trying to focus on what can they do for fuel and tires. How can they run the gauntlet here at the beautiful circuit of Monza for the final race of the season? Tristan Arcleon looking to try and put himself into the top 5 and also see if he could try and move up in the championship. It hasn't quite been his championship, but is still giving it one big push down to the wire. Now, Henry Platt lies 9 seconds adrift of Sean Skitter. He's 4 seconds adrift on Mahath Musa, who is, 5 seconds. So Herbert Wepner currently sits 7 seconds. And then you've got Roth, who's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seconds, which isn't enough for Platt's 15 seconds to be shaken off as yet. He's got to try find some pace here to try and lift up at least 2 more seconds away from David Roth if he wants to go negate that 15 seconds that he has to do. Remember, Roth has got no success penalty that he has to serve, so it all comes down to Platt having to give it a little bit more of a push. He's got to try and creep those lap times a bit more, try to close up the order as we keep an eye on the ongoing battles. This is the closest one, Musa and Arcleon at the moment, who are fighting out for 5th and 6th position, that little bit harder. And right behind them, we do have Herman Whitner as Herodio runs off the circuit. Herodio runs into a bit of a problem. He's into the wall and loses out to Chris Pierre. Mr. Sean Young says, thank you very much, Herodio. Went straight on. Lost time. Lewis Knight comes on by, says, thank you very much, Herodio. Having a nightmare race here in ACC tonight. He's been having a phenomenal time in LMU, but is just not finding the grip underneath him in Assetto Corsa Competizione anymore, and is just circulating at this stage of the game, lying at the back of the Platinum. He will be keeping an eye on Ren Heineke, who will slowly be drawing him in 25 seconds back, as we do have Peterson into the pits. Platt moves up into 3rd. Mahath Musa into 4th. Arcleon into 5th. Wepner keeps going. Will Roth pull into the pits? No, Roth is going to continue on as Peterson, seeing there's no opportunity at the moment, pits early out of the top 5 and just allows the rest of the field to go through. Peterson going a little bit shorter into his stint, hoping that's going to try and sway things in his favor to try and undercut Rafa and Sean Scooter, who hold on to the top at the moment. Justin Ocleon keeping that pressure on as now our drivers move forward. So it's Rafa Sosa, Sean Scooter, Mahiath Musa holding on to the top 3 of our Diamond Division. Henry Platt, Herman Webster, and David Roth hold on to the top 3 for our Platinum. And Tristan Ocleon, Finley Gamble, and Chris Biermeister hold on to the top 3 of our Gold Division as it stands right now. Peterson comes out ahead of Ruan Heineke, and he will be leading out those that have done their first pit stop. Heineke will take notes of it, seeing that he's just heading to turn 1, and Peterson has just come out of turn 3. Rick Thomas into the pits. Rick Thomas trying to get his pit stop done and dusted, looking to undercut the entirety of the Gold Division, including undercut his own teammates. He's taking a bit of a gamble here to see if it's going to work out in his favor, but he needs to take those radical risks to move up through the order to see if he can take the fight to the sharp end. Tristan Ocleon keeps the pressure on Mahiath Musa as the two of them brawl it on. Tristan Ocleon keeps it rather tight. He dives into the pits. Mahiath Musa keeps going straight on. Will Wepner keep going straight on? Yes, he will. David Roth pulls into the pits. Roth pulls into the pits. He thought about it and then decided last minute, get into the pits while Chris Wall keeps going. And now this is a crucial call for David Roth to try and undercut Henry Platt. He's trying to get that final stop out of the way early in this race, while Platt still needs to go and do that 2 mandatory pit stops and also get rid of that 15 seconds. This is now going to sway into Roth's favor if he can get out and immediately keep a solid push up through the order. He cannot get fouled up by the rest of the field. Peterson up into 12th position now, will lead out those that have done the pit stops. The first round of pit stops, Rick Thomas leads out those that have completed all his pit stops. He lies in 18th position at the moment. Christoph Peterson just exiting out of turn 2 has kept a solid drive and keeping an eye on the rest of the field as it goes on. But we do have Tristan Ocleon into the pits. David Roth is into the pits. Roth is still in pit lane waiting to go out. This is a long stop for him as he drops off the jacks. Tristan Ocleon trying to find him out, and hopefully this is going to be a good one. The two of them side by side. Guys, there's only one pit entrance and it's only so big. David Roth and Tristan Ocleon trying to see who goes first. Eventually Tristan going and giving benefit of the doubt to Roth, says, don't worry buddy, you go out first, I'll tail you. But now it comes down to how they're going to fight out. Sean Scooter sees these two ahead, and he doesn't want to get fouled up as he's on a solid push right now to try catch up to Rafa Sosa and also try break away from the likes of Christoph Peterson and Mahiath Musa, who will be making up some time behind him. So Scooter trying to see what he can do to not get fouled up behind what now is blue flags ahead of him. David Young trying to give it a solid push in 7th position up against the back of Chris Wall, hunting down every opportunity. Young has got a 10-second success penalty he needs to try and shake off during his pit stops, while Chris Wall has got 5. These two will be trying to fight it out on circuit, but when it comes down to pit stops, it's going to be down to crucial strategy here. Undercut versus overcut to move forward. Finley Gamble holds on to the lead in the Gold Division with Chris Biermeister up into 2nd, Sean Young into 3rd, and as they fight it out for the running order. But the ones leading out the divisions, it's Christoph Peterson who is leading out those that have done their first pit stop in the Diamond with Ruan Heineke in 2nd place. And leading out in our Gold Division is Darren Christie with Tristan Ocleon and Ulrich de Jager. But those that are in the Platinum, it's David Roth who has done his pit stop and now has just got one more to go. Tristan Ocleon losing out the drive to Roth out of Parabolica, keeping it nose to tail at the moment. And it's going to be Sean Skitter seeing these two fighting it out. Ocleon looks down to the inside into turn one. Barrels down through. Tristan Ocleon showing what he can do here. Keeps it all together. Gets ahead of Roth. Slows him up through the apex. That's going to allow Sean Skitter to get into the mix. And Sean Skitter is losing time behind these two fighting out for overall track position. They have every reason to fight against one another, but not for class rights. It's for overall track position. And for Skitter, it's a nightmare scenario for him because he's just got to try and meander his way around. Chris Biermeister dives into the pit lane. He's going to see what he can do. Roth opening up the corner, allowing Sean Skitter to come on by. Loses out that little bit of time as Tristan Ocleon keeps a solid push. And now Skitter can pull Roth along that little bit more. Sean Young into the pits. Biermeister going into the pits. Peterson moves up through the order, up into the top 10. Serodio up into 9th as he sees the back of Lewis Knight, who holds on to 20th position after that monster impact against the wall. Lewis Knight trying to recover after a nightmare race affair, needs to try and see what he can do. Patrick is ahead of him, but only just by 8 seconds. Patrick is his fight for the championship, and he needs to get ahead of him. Rick Thomas is also just ahead of them as well. So we have got our gold division keeping line astern on one another, knowing the opportunities here. Young in the pits as Biermeister now exits out. Darren Christie trying to get going, and it's all out for a fight. And I do want to touch on to something, and this is to Christoph Peterson, who a bit of a run joke. He had a bit of a fouled up pit stop during the course of the weekend in a league, and man, I didn't know the guy was a kleptomaniac, but he went and stole the pit board and ran with it down the hill. Went and caught it out by mistake, but is still out there. Oh, nearly losing the back end of the car. Oh, don't listen to the stream too much, Christoph. You don't need to go and take some of the sandpit away here from Monza. You're on the top 10. You've won the championship. Now it's all about trying to keep it together. A solid fight. Chris Biermeister keeps the run on David Roth at the moment. Can't quite get that pass done and dusted. Young keeps the pressure on Wall as they fight it out for 6th and 7th. We have got numerous fights up and down through the order. David Young looking to try and get past Chris Wall. Side by side they go. Finley Gamble sits behind them watching these two go side by side. He doesn't want to get too involved in it, but he would like to see both of them get a little bit closer to go and tow him along, to see an opportunity to go in for the top 6. This race has just gone from mental to crazy to manic to absolutely insane. It has completely derailed, fallen off the rails, and giving us every bit of excitement. We have got classes fighting up and down through the order. Rick Thomas taking the biggest gamble that he can, has completed all these pit stops with 50 minutes remaining, has to see it through to the end. He has done fuel, he's done tires, and he's trying to see if he can make it through to the end. While our current top 9 are yet to still pit, from 10th down to 20th, have all done their first pit stop or completed their pit stops. Rich Pineda, unfortunately, is our retirement out of the race. Roth sits his fastest lap time of 48.2 on that last lap, and that is now running the fastest lap time in the Platinum division. So Henry Platt has lost out that fastest lap time, which means the point sways in favor for David Roth, but unfortunately he's too far down the order to make it really work for him. David Young and Chris Wall fighting it out. These two just really having a brawl. The Ferrari 296 up against the Aston Martin AMR V8 ahead. Christoph Peterson clearing on past Serodio, who dives into pit lane. Serodio trying to get his pit stop out of the way, and we'll see if he can try and undercut the field to see if he can move up in the Platinum division as we onboard David Young, hunting down Chris Wall every which way possible. Henry Platt now sitting quite far up the road from David Roth. Is going to be happy on that because it looks like he may have negated that 15-second for now, but it all comes down to how much fuel and if he puts tires on the car that might throw him down the order. Roth sits in 14th position, so Rodeo's gone into the pits, and it still allows Wepner, Wall and Young to still have an opportunity, and David Young is putting as much pressure as he can down the gears he goes on Chris Wall. He is utilizing every bit of engine braking he can to just sink it in that little bit deeper into the fight, seeing if he can move that little bit forward. And how is this race going to turn out, folks? This is a battle of a lifetime for many of these divisions, and it's coming down to the wire all over. Finley Gamble has walked away with the win in the gold division, but second place, Lewis Knight and Patrick Bills still keeps on. You cannot count out Rick Thomas as well. He still has his chance to throw a hat in the ring here for the gold division. For a platinum, as we watch David Young and Chris Wall fighting out, these two are fighting out for third. They're 4 points separated between the two of them. And unfortunately for Young, he cuts the entirety of the chicane, mows the lawn properly. I know Lamborghini made tractors, but Ferrari making lawnmowers didn't quite work out in his favor. And immediately Chris Wall opens up. Chris holds on to third in the championship here. He needs to beat out David Young every which way possible and still keep a solid close run to Herman Wepner, who holds on to second in the class. Herman sits on 60 points at this stage of the game. He sits on 60. He's 4 points behind David Young, 8 points behind Chris Wall, but a second place is worth a ton for him at this stage of the game, and to try and put the South Africans up above the Europeans, the UK, everyone having their fight for their respective countries. And this is why I say we got some of the best in the world fighting out against one another. But out at the front, fastest lap time of the race, checked out long time ago. Rafa Sosa, fastest lap of the race with a 1:47.9, is in the lead, 13 seconds ahead of Sean Skitter in second place. As we do see the Fear Bones right behind, that is David Roth tailing on to Sean Skitter, trying to get pulled along. Henry Platt holds on to third place. He will see David Roth up the road from him on the relative, and he knows this is opportunity now. He's cleared enough space for that pit stop, long as Roth is in the front windscreen. So Platt can get into the pit lane, get himself sorted, and come out ahead of Roth at the moment. But he needs to try and keep a solid drive. Myeth Musa holds on to fourth place. Herman Wepner holds on to fifth. Chris Wall holds on sixth, with David Young going and crawling all over the back of him, trying to see where he can get past. Chris Wall having to really get defensive out there. Finley Gamble leads out the gold division. Peterson in fourth of his class, looking to just try and keep a solid run. He's done his pit stop, but Rune Heineke holds on to that top 10 and has done his first pit stop. Rick Thomas still in 18th position after completing his pit stop, as Heineke goes and says, nope, not to be the case. He dives into the pits for his final stop of the race. Darren Christie's going to come around and see that this opportunity is changing. The sun starting to set here at Monza. That 2 times multiplier becoming a factor. Darren Christie into the pits, and that is going to be an interesting call for Darren Christie. As Tristan Knockleon, next one to come around, is he going to follow the bait through? Not quite. He's going to keep going that little bit longer. Roth is going to keep going in a little bit longer as well. Roth is not taking the bait. He's going to push Rafa into the pits, out of the lead. That promotes up Skitter up into first. And now Platt will be moving up into second. He sees Ulrich Diaga ahead of him. Ulrich Diaga still keeping up the fight. He was one driver that was pointing absolutely in the wrong direction, sitting nose to nose against Young into turn one. Not the way you want to have a bit of Italian love when you're going and sharing between the two cars, but like an Eskimo, they rub noses. David Young holds on to third. Finley Gamble into fourth. Heineke has taken over the lead of those that have done all their pit stops and will be that marker. Rafa, Musa, Wepner all into the pits. Wall into the pits, leaving Skitter, Platt, David Young, Finley Gamble, and that's the only guys left. They still have got to at least do one of their stops. Rafa comes out of pit lane. He loses out to Christoph Peterson, dropping down to third place in class. Peterson up in towards that top 5 with one stop separating them. Now it's going to come down to who's got that little bit of push. Heineke, Darren Christie, and Rick Thomas have all completed their pit stops, and they have managed to crawl up into 16th position, but right onto the back of one another. Rune Heineke in 16th does not want to lose out to Rick Thomas, and Patrick at the moment still needing to get his pit stop out the way. He's got Lewis Knight trying to close up the gap to him as well as they keep in for that gold division fight. We are seeing all types of strategies here for the next 42 minutes. We said 45 minutes is going to be where the pit stop's coming in, and well, it's starting to be exactly that. It's turning into a wild moment for every single one of our competitors. Skitter into the lead of the race. Platt holding on to second with Darren Young. Currently, David Young holding on to third. All three still needing to serve their success penalties. Heineke ahead of David Young, going and pulling him along. Is David going to opt to get in the pits this time around? No, he does. It was a late call to get it done. He thought better of it and then decided, nope, going to get it in the box. Finley Gamble up into third place. Will now go and stretch out the legs. He's trying to see what he can do to go that little bit longer in this race. Platt still needing to get his one stop out of the way. Gamble needs to get his stop out of the way. Skitter needs to get his stop out of the way. But now Roth up in towards this will move him if he can get round. Likes a Wepner, he might have a chance here. Wepner holds on for third place in class. 14 seconds behind him is Tristan Ockleon. Heading 6 seconds is David Roth. This is a bit of a late call. David Roth has really got to lean on the pressure here. But if Chris Wall gets ahead of him, Roth's championship hopes are shot through and through. Game over. And Chris Wall will be more than happy to go and be that firearm to put the bullet into the back of David Roth's head in that championship, to be that nail in the coffin to make it work. Herman Wepner up into second place in his class, currently holds on to 7th position. Tristan Ockleon up into 8th, will hold on second place, and David Young now leaving pit lane loses out to Roth and loses out to Wall, who come blasting on by. 3 drivers yet to get their first stops out the way. Skitter, Platt and Gamble trying to go a little bit longer into this race and see what they can do as the sun starts to set more and more through Parabolica, blinding the drivers. You can see how wide they're going. Finley Gamble dives into the pits. He is getting himself sorted out. Platt going longer, so is Skitter. Peterson gonna see that Gamble's in the pits, gonna be more than happy to retake that third place. Still leads out those in the Diamond Division that have done their first pit stop, but will move up in second place in the Diamond Division, with Rafa still holding on to that crucial single point from the fastest lap of the race ahead of Sean Skitter, trying to pull himself a little bit closer. I mean, this is an absolute nightmare of note. Everyone trying their absolute damnedest for the championship. They are throwing caution to the wind, absolutely trying to really move up through the order, seeing what exactly is going to work out for them. No one having that opportunity to move forward, and Henry Platt has lost it. Henry Platt has lost it out of Ascari, trying to get himself going. The question is, has the Moscow Motorsport lost out too much time here? He tries to get himself out of the dirt, but he has got damage on that car. Oh man, it's just absolutely aching. It's ailing of note. What happened out of Scar? He clipped the curb and it was just hard into the wall for Henry Platt. That means Wepner's going to have a chance here, but it is going to bring David Roth a bit closer. This is going to be major, major damage to the front of Henry Platt's nose. And how long is it going to be in the box? That is going to be the question here. He tried running a bit longer to see if it's going to help him out, but ultimately it may have just played into a nightmare affair. He is just bashing the car along, trying to get it into the pit box, trying to see what he can do to just pull himself, drag himself into the pit box. He's got 15 seconds. He still needs to serve as well in that pit box. As now Wepner looking to come up to Parabolica. He's not even sure about the damage that's happened to Platt, but will be seeing, hang on, I have a chance here to move up into the lead for David Roth. This is Lady Luck smiling on thee after he got launched off at turn 1. Now Henry Platt landing up further down the order from where he wanted to be. David Young keeps the pressure on Chris Wall, as Chris Wall 1 second back from Roth. It is now all into the fate of what happens for the championship. Henry Platt has been fighting it out. Now he needs a second place and the fastest lap to really make it work against Roth right to the wire. And as he slips down the order, he is right out of it at the moment and is still needing some serious repair work to the car. David Young nearly into the back of Chris Wall, trying to go that little bit further into the braking zone. Not able to make it work. Sean Skitter into the box. That's going to mean Peterson will be looking to retake the lead of the race as he chases down Darren Christie at the moment, trying to put a bit of pressure on Darren, saying, come on, buddy, you got to keep going out. You got to keep moving. Rafa is on my tail and looking to take the final checker flag of the season here. I am the champion. I want that final checker flag. I'm not going to let the Spirit Onyx team have the satisfaction of ripping that final flag away from me. Mahiath Musa holds on to third position in the class at the moment. Those that have done their pit stops, as Sean Skitter looking to still come off the jacks. Tristan Ocleon leads out the gold division, with Finley Gamble and Chris Biermester holding on to third. For our platinum, it's Herman Wepner up in front. David Roth, Chris Wall, David Young, Sorodio, and Henry Platt tailing down into 19th position. Henry Platt has just had his entire race thrown into disarray on one anti-cut curb that sent the BMW spiraling into the wall. Tristan Ocleon leads out his division, and I do want to point out is one of the quickest drivers out on the circuit. A gold division driver has just taken the fastest lap of the race from everyone with a 147.707. Tristan Ocleon has come out for blood at this stage of the game. Finley Gamble going and falling off the circuit. He's 3 seconds back, trying to close up the gap to them. Absolutely a hard charge down to the wire. David Young trying to give a big push to Chris Wall, who is just seeing David Roth going and opening up that gap little by little. We spoke about Monza. That has always been about making or breaking championships. Well, this is it. Henry Platt going and saying, unfortunately, 4 minutes worth of damage, and he still needs to serve that 15 seconds. He's going to try and push it down to the wire. I don't think he's going to give up the fight just as yet, as he wants to try and hold on to the second place there to Chris Wall, David Young, who are fighting out for points, but will be trying to battle his way back. It has been a back and forth season between the two, and I don't think he's wanting to end off on a DNF. He's going to try and get that Moscow Motorsport machine back out onto the circuit and see if he can push in at least for the fastest lap of the race to try and just snatch it away from the likes of David Roth. Rafa Sosa keeps the pressure on to the back of Christoph Peterson, seeing if he could try and force an opportunity here. Rafa late on the brakes in the McLaren, trying to close up to the Honda NSX ahead of him. 30 laps in this race, done and dusted. 33 minutes to go. It has been a long run, but we're now getting closer and closer towards the end of it. Herman Whitner looking to try and take his victory here in the Platinum Division. I don't think Herman Whitner, no, he hasn't. He has never won a round in the Platinum Division, and now looking to score a top 5. He came second place at Alton Park, going and fighting it out for the run, and now is looking to take a solid victory here at Monza, a circuit that has never played really nice with him during the course of this entire, well, in ACC, that long as I've known Herman out on track. David Young keeps pressure on Chris Wall, trying to see if he can slowly clear his way back into it. Henry Platt returns to the circuit after his damage to the car. 15 seconds, still needs a bit of repair work on the car. Unfortunately, he wasn't pointed straight in the box, so it went up onto the jacks, had to be moved down, so he has still got 2 more stops to sway in as well. That really does put to bed on Henry Platt. He's just now circulating 4 points. Tristan Lockleon, I've got to say, most certainly will be moving up into the Diamond Division. He will skip Platinum, that is for certain here, with that 47.7. He has been on a absolute climb up through the order. It hasn't been his season in terms of consistency, but he's sure got the pace to make it work in his favor, and will be more than happy with that solid run as we do switch back up towards our leaders. With 2 minutes left in the race, then we will have our entire 1 hour completed. Our 6 rounds of racing this season have been 1 hour full of racing. We have seen drivers slug it out across the world, fighting it out. Indianapolis, Kyalami, Valencia, Messina, Alton Park, Red Bull Ring, and it comes down to Monza to see who's going to move forward. Peterson looking to have a solid result here against Rafa Sosa, who's fighting tooth and nail. Sean Skitter at the moment lying in 3rd place will be going and scratching his head on what to do, as Sean Skitter will be losing out by a single point unless he can get the fastest lap of the race in the division, who currently that's been given to Peterson. He needs to try and close up a 24.6 second gap, and it's going to come down to the final pit stops that come into play. Ron Heineke leads out those that have done all their pit stops. He's in 13th position with Rick Thomas in 15th, Darren Christie in 16th position. Ulrich Diaga in 19th has completed all his stops as well. So these drivers just really fighting their way through. David Young trying to push a little bit harder onto Chris Wall. They do see the likes of David Roth up the road. Now, this is where you wish Murphy would move into the pits. For Henry Platt, he's going to be hoping that Roth hits those anti-cut curbs and have the same fate that he had to try and bring Roth down in the points. He won't have enough in terms of the pit stop playing in his favor, but if he can try and see if he can knuckle down some of those points away from Roth, maybe, just maybe, there's an opportunity here to play in his favor. David Young now in the toe of Chris Wall, pulling himself closer and closer. Can't quite find the drive as yet. Looks down around the outside into turn 1, but it's going to be Chris Wall under brakes, able to get the Asimon just eking out ahead, slowing down on the apex, really going and slowing up Young quite a bit on the exit, saying not going to happen here, buddy. You got to go and think a little bit outside the box and really try and chuck your way up through the order. We're into the last 30 minutes of the race, folks, and we have seen the championship flip from left to right. We have seen so far a tough one. Christoph will take the win in the diamond. Rafa Sosa will take second ahead of Sean Skitter if it stays where it is in the points. for our Platinum. It'll be David Roth taking the victory over Henry Platt. But if Chris Wall can try and move up into first place, that's definitely going to help him out to bring it a little bit closer. Chris Wall currently in third place. He's getting pressure from David Young. If David Young beats out Chris Wall, that will be in the favor of David Young to move up into third. Chris Wall will move down to fourth. Herman Wepner, however, who looks to take a victory here, will get 19 points. And that is going to move him up to 79 in the points. That will boost him up quite a bit to try and get ahead of Young and Chris Wall. So possibility of a third place when it all comes down to the wire. I mean, this is just turning into a freaking fight up and down through the order. We're going to try and give you as much of the points as possible. We're going to try and keep you up to date as we do see Chris Wall and Young fight it out once again. The two of them elbow to elbow, knees to toes, trying to force each other out wide, seeing for any opportunity to try and move forward. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the wire. Who is going to have that solid run to battle it out? I mean, this is just a huge fight out for the run. Potential battles in the championship points coming down to it. And I mean, this is just that one chance to stay at the sharp end of the field. Oh boy. What a race thus far. Serodio keeping the pressure on Chris Biermeister. Chris holding on to third in the gold as he looks to try and get himself onto the podium yet again. Serodio trying to claw his way back in after having to dive into the dirt more than once during the course of this race. He's been trying ever so slightly just to see if he could close up to Chris Biermeister. He gets right onto the tail, looks to the inside, and just under braking is a bit nervous to try and make it work. Biermeister opens up the corner knowing that, listen, I'm third in my class here. There's no reason for me to lose time, but I do know that I've got Rick Thomas that's already done that final pit stop that is just racing to the end. 26 minutes left in this race, and it's ultimately going to come down to that last little push for the final round. This is a huge run for each and every one of our drivers to give it that one big push. Side by side between David Young and Chris Wall, heading into turn one yet again. David Young just not able to get the run. He swings around the outside. Chris Wall going and guarding that line yet again. He's making himself as wide as possible. That Aston Martin is not backing down and has got the endurance lights on to try and just see as far as he can as David Young once again looks down the inside, and the rain has come down. We spoke about it, that it is a possibility, and the rain has come down. Sean Young dives into the pits. He is going and getting him sorted out. The Cyber Racing not hanging around here, and the rain has come. For those that have not gone and got themselves into the pits, well, this time, life's going to get interesting. Sean Young trying to get himself into the box. Patrick Bells into the box. Lewis Knight into the box. And I don't see the Rooster Tails as yet. So the drivers are still trying to push their way through in this one. David Roth under pressure, trying to get past Finley Gamble. Now seeing that he's got a bit of a tough time here. This can really sway the times of battle as Henry Platt still needs to get 2 more stops out, plus the 15 seconds, but David Roth not having an easy time. Wepner into the pits, Tristan Knockleon into the pits, and it looks like David Roth and Finley Gamble, they're going to go that little bit longer. They're going to go until they see the Rooster Tails kicking off the back of the car. Peterson, Sosa, Skitter, Musa, Roth, Gamble, Young, all going a little bit longer in this race. A DSQ for Sean Young, unfortunately not getting himself sorted out and is now out of the race. Patrick Bells with a stop-go 30-second penalty. That is going to help out Lewis Knight if Lewis can just get ahead Lewis Knight is not out of the run just as yet. Ruben Heineke up into the top 10, who has done all his pit stops, is going to be ruling that fact as he's got a bit of a rough time. You will have to pull in for a third stop to switch over to wet weather tires if the rain continues. If it gets any worse, Peterson dives into the pits as likes of Rafa Sosa going to go a little bit longer. We've seen Rafa drive in the rain out on slicks and have no fear whatsoever at Bathurst, and he's looking to do it here at Monza. Sean Skitter is going to risk it as well. He's going to go a little bit longer into this race, up into second place. Our drivers are absolutely giving it that last shot. They are trying everything they can. They are casting absolute caution to the wind. Myers Musa up into third. Ada Peterson. David Roth, is he going to dive into pit lane and get himself sorted out? No, he's going to go a little bit longer. Finley Gamble is going to go longer as well. Peterson comes out of the pits with wet weather tires and will be holding on to that fourth position. Now trying to generate some heat into the tires to get it up to working conditions. Richard Van will be waiting and out in the pit lane. Unfortunately, one of our earliest retirements, but it's Sean Young with the disqualification that will be scoring no points here. Henry Platt has already got his one stop out of the way, and he's 15 second. He's on to a new set of tires to see what he can do. Patrick Bell's into the pits. Lewis Knight gains a position and now sets his eyes up forward to the likes of Ulrich Diaga. He's following the Griffin Sim Racing of Ruben Heineke, who currently holds on to 9th. Ruben Heineke, one of our earliest those to get one of the pit stops out of the way, much like Rick Thomas, who dives back into the pits, trying to get himself sorted out. Ulrich Diaga into the wall. Diaga with monster damage to his car. This is a nightmare for him, and you can see the rooster tails kicking up off the back of that BMW. Ulrich Diaga is going to be in the pits for a little bit, and that's going to play into the favor of Lewis Knight, who starts to reel back some of the points in his championship, trying to fight it out for second place in the gold. Our defending gold driver for the championship now seeing he has an opportunity here. Ulrich Diaga into the pits with a Beaver that looks like it just got hit by its own dam. Rick Thomas into the pits as well. Chris Beermister in 14th position. Keeps the drive. He's trying to move up through the order. He's trying to make it work. He needs to get past Darren Christie, who's a little bit up the road. He's got Chris Wall to get past, and then Darren Christie at the top, who has completed all these pit stops. Gamble into the pits. David Young into the pits. Sorodio still out. Roth still out. Rafa still out. Musa Skitter still out. Running a little bit longer into this race. This mixed conditions has absolutely thrown a wrench in the plan for a lot of drivers out here. Heineke up into 7th. Sorodio up into 6th. Gamble and Young into the pits. Whitmer's going to be closing on by. He's got no more pit stops to play with here and will be moving up into 3rd of the Platinum Division as he looks to try to close up to Sorodio and Roth, who still need to pit. He is on for a solid charge and trying to see if it's going to work out in his favor to try and take the victory here in the Platinum Division, as Extreme Sim Racing not only looking to try and take the win here, they're going to have to try and see if they can do it in the gold. And at the moment, Tristan Ocleon holds on to 9th position with Darren Christie in 2nd, holding on to that top 10. Finley Gamble holds on to 3rd as Chris Wall misses out the chicane. loses out to David Young as they come crawling on by. That rain is getting absolutely horrendous out there. Mahai Musa decides enough is enough. He's coming into the pits. Rafa Sosa still somehow, some way, is pushing it as hard as he can out in the slicks right there. He's sliding the car around. He is just going absolutely as gentle as possible. Sean Skitter up into second. Peterson up into third. Peterson having a solid run, has completed all these pit stops, and you can see Skitter battling to slow that car down. He does see Peterson right onto the back of him, and will be thinking, right, how much can I actually fight him out here? How much can I go? Seeing that a couple of drivers have dived into the pits. Sorodio comes on by. He has not gone in for the pits for his final pit stop. He's up into fourth place ahead of Rern Heineke into that top five. Musa and Roth into the pits. Wepner trying to battle his way back around Parabolica and looking towards the sharp end. Can he get ahead of David Roth, who now exits pit lane? Roth in second. We'll see Wepner coming at him at a rate of knots, but he will manage to hold out that second place only just ahead of Wepner. He pushed that a little bit harder. He made it work out in his favor, but now he just needs to keep going as Wepner, trying to close up the gap, holds on to third in the Platinum division. Rafa Sosa, Sean Skitter, and Peterson hold on to the top three in the Diamond. Tristan Ocleon gets it out of shape into turn one. He holds on to the lead for the Gold division with Finley Gamble. Darren Christie now fighting out for that second position. Finley Gamble trying to keep it all together. Chris Wall forgetting if there was even a corner at turn one. Jumps over the chicane yet again. And David Young looking at him going, come on, buddy. That's again you managed to outbrake yourself, and it hasn't played into my favor. Why on earth is this happening for Darren Christie? It is every opportunity to get ahead of Gamble and score some points to move up. And for Darren Christie, who has been on a solid drive, he's 15th in the championship. He wants to make it work. Chris Wall looks up on the inside, trying to get that pass done and dusted. Does put his nose forward and just puts the spray right back into Darren's nose. You can just go and take a look on board. It is treacherous out there. And Darren Christie just so gentle on the throttle not to go and lose out too much time. He does not want to lose out that brake marker. Rafa Sosa, Sean Skitter still out on the circuit. 39 laps in. And in this torrential downpour, have not swapped out tires yet. They are still continuing to go that little bit longer. Sorodio trying to go a little bit longer in this race as well, with a one final pit stop. 16 minutes left in this race. 3 cars yet to do their final stop. Wepner looking to try and close up to Sorodio, who has just gone and had a solid run at the moment in the Platinum division. Ocleon leads out the Gold division as he fights out against Rafa Sosa. Rafa losing a bit of time here, is going to be getting a little bit frustrated, but he also can't fight too hard out in the wet stuff. Tristan Ocleon gets out of shape. Rafa having to be rather gently to look around, dives to the inside, means he's straight through the puddles out of turn 3 as Tristan stuck into the puddles as well. Tristan trying to slow the Merc down, having a bit of difficult time there. Rafa not wanting to lose out. Remember, whoever wins between Rafa and Skitter, well, Sosa and Skitter, this is going to be who comes second in the championship for the Diamond behind Christoph Peterson. And Rafa at the moment is out just trying to see if he can stretch those legs a little bit more, see what he can do. Tristan Ocleon right into the back of him saying, come on, buddy, you're out on slicks there. You're still costing me a bit of time. I got to try and get round you. I need to see if I can move up a little bit closer to David Roth, who is just a little bit up the road. See if I can get into that 8th position overall and show I can put the fight forward. As Rafa, gentle, massive tank slapper coming out of Ascari from Rafa. Tristan also getting a little bit of it as well as they barrel down. Rafa flirting with track limits. So the question is, has he gotten to the point where it's just not working out for him? He's run out that limit of adhesion. Definitely not working out for him. Through Parabolica, slides the car around, and he is going to go yet another lap in the rain. Tristan Lockleon trying to get past him, not having any luck. Tristan's got to go down the inside. He's had enough. He has absolutely had enough. He's going to dive the inside of our leader. Couldn't quite get it to slow down in time. Sean Skitter is waiting to hear that these two get tangled up. He has got Christoph Peterson holding on to third place, and Christoph has completed all his pit stop. Serodio has got one final stop to go. He's holding on to fourth place, with Ruan Heineke trying to close up in fifth. Maeth Musa, Herman Wepner, David Roth, Tristan Lockleon, Finley Gamble running out your top 10. Chris Wall in 11th place with David Young, Darren Christie, Chris Biemster, Rick Thomas, Lewis Knight, Ulrich Diaga, Patrick Bells, and Henry Platt rounding out our pack that is still going. We've seen one DQ, we've seen one non-finisher, and we are seeing fights up and down through the order as Henry Platt puts a bit of pressure on Fear the Bones driver. Not quite who he wants to verse, as he does see a bit of a mistake coming in from Peterson into the grass. Peterson dips a wheel into the grass, loses that little bit of time, had to go and grab the car back from underneath him, and that's just going to allow Henry Platt to go on by. So thank you very much. Heineke now loses out to Maeth Musa. They're fighting out for fourth in the Diamond class. Heineke looking to try and put himself back up onto the podium. Maeth Musa has completed all his pit stops, so is Heineke and Peterson. So this is a race down to the end for the last 12 minutes. This is turning into a bit of a wild moment for each and every one of them. And the rain that just came down right at the end of the race has completely flipped the script for a lot of our drivers. Tristan Lockleon now trying to get a little bit more of a push as he got past Rafa Sosa. Now he sets his sights up on David Roth. Tristan Lockleon, fighting out in the gold division, will be looking to put as much pressure onto Roth as possible. He will look to try and see if he can get past, and Roth, just keeping himself out of the puddles here, knows that all he needs to do is just hang it all together in third place here. He has done enough for the championship, but he cannot risk falling down the order. He cannot risk losing out even more points. And, well, Tristan Lockleon is out for a bit of redemption to prove himself out here in the ERA Server 1 field. He does launch on by. Roth actually just comes off the gas. He says, nope, not messing around with this. And no, it's too close for comfort. He backs off. He allows Tristan to get on by. Now he's got Rafa Sosa to deal with. Remember, Rafa is still out there on slicks. Rafa is pushing as hard as he can on slick tires and is out driving the pack in this. What in these conditions? How on earth is he doing it? Sean Skitter and Serodio are still giving it a hard push as well. Chris Wall fighting up, catching up to Finley Gamble, looking to try and get that top 10. Gamble second in class, trying to see if he can close up to Lockleon. He needs to get past likes of David Roth, but there's a 5-second deficit he needs to break before he can even see the Fear the Bones Honda NSX ahead of him. Darren Christie trying to close up the gap. He's got a bit of time before he can even see Finley Gamble, the 2ID team, to go that little bit longer. But as the rain starts to taper off a little bit here at Monza, the drivers starting to get a little bit of a reprieve on the circuit, just trying to eye out their opportunity. And Rafa, Skitter, and Serodio hoping to outlive the storm at this stage of the game. As the conditions went from greasy to wet, this is turning into just limp these cars around that little bit more. It has been a tough season as Skitter nearly losing it through Ascari, was able just to snatch the rear, and immediately he saw Henry Platt keep the pressure on him, looking to try and get past. For Henry Platt, it has been a race to forget, but is still giving it everything he can to try and fight out that little bit further. He looks towards the inside line. Skitter runs out wide. Skitter still needs to pull into the pits, and he's going to go a lap longer. Skitter is going a lap longer in this race. Platt pulls into the pits for his final pit stop. He's getting it out of the way and just wants to see it through to the end, as we do see a number of drivers just fighting it out. Meatball flag coming out from our marshals, and I do think that's just for not really the meatball, because I don't see any damage out on the circuit, but definitely a change of surface as the rain has faded away, and now it's going that little bit further. Gamble and Wall keep each other rather busy, trying to see if they can go that little bit longer in this race, as we've now had the entirety of our course starting to change. That 2 times multiplier means the track is going to dry up a little bit, and you can already see Chris Wall trying to cool down the tires, trying to get a little bit of life back into those wet weather tires to push a little bit harder onto Gamble, as the rain has now gone away here at Monza. It's on for the final charge. Rafa, Skitter, and Serodio are yet to do their final stops. With 7 minutes and 56 seconds to go, they have gone and pushed it through the rain, through the sunshine, and now into the dark to the final last 7 minutes. And it's a drive-through that comes in for Heineke for track limits exceeded. That is not what he wanted to have at the end of the championship. Heineke will not be able to go into that top 4. He will have to serve the drive-through penalty, and he will finish behind Mahiath Musa at this rate. Unfortunately, going and putting a wheel wrong has cost him time, and now the drive-through penalty going and getting slammed across his wrist. And that is going to hurt. But the question comes in, how many others have been flirting with those track limits? How many others have got that little bit of a reprieve between one another? Serodio and Musa keeping each other rather honest at the moment, fighting out for 4th and 5th position for the Project Vapor team. They try to go that little bit longer into this race, doing everything they can, as Musa sees Serodio going yet another lap longer. 6 minutes and 40 seconds remain. These drivers going and giving it a hard push. Serodio waiting for Skitter and Sosa to pull the pin on one another, and it's Musa nearly into the back of his own teammate under braking, and that is going to be a little bit of a talking to, that's for certain. Oh boy, nearly having a rocket on the way through. Tristan Ocleon up into 7th position ahead of Ruan Heineke, who now serves the drive-through penalty to get it out of the way. This has turned into a wild race, and I have to agree with you, Duke. This has gone from a race of, well, what could happen is, oh, it's both problem for Darren Christie and Chris Beermister. Exactly the same thing through Parabolica. It was just going and sliding their way around the McLaren and Ferrari, falling off in sympathy of one another, fighting out for 3rd. Beermister breaks the nose of his Ferrari, so does Darren Christie, taking on the nose of his McLaren. They're fighting out for 3rd in class, and both of them managed to eat the wall at the exact same place, doing the exact same thing. That is just absolutely wild to see what happens. And honestly, getting a bit of word from Sean Young, unfortunately, the pit limits have stopped working, and he went speeding through pits. That is the reason for the DSQ. So we now know what happened to Sean Young. That cost him a bit of time there. Serodio loses out to Musa, runs out wide. Serodio yet to do the final pit stop. Now gets right into the back of his teammate, getting pulled along through the dark. And it's going to be the Project Vapor, 4th and 5th. Serodio leading out the Platinum class, looking to return back to winning ways. Has got Wetner in 2nd place, and David Roth holding on to 3rd. Will be more than happy on that one, because he will look to take the championship away from Henry Platt right at the last race. But it comes down to 4 minutes 20 seconds whether these guys are going to get their cars into the pits. Rodeo putting a lot of pressure onto Musa, seeing for any opportunity, but he's got to be rather careful on the braking because Musa has got a little bit better on the brakes. Rodeo is still sliding quite a bit to try and keep that car in check. Rafa Sosa out on track, and he hasn't even got his lights on. Rafa Sosa has decided he can see enough at the moment. Hasn't even got his lights on into the dusk as Sean Skitter now holds on for that second place. He is trying to open up the gap. 5 seconds to Christoph Peterson with one more stop to go. 3.5 minutes left in this race. They are going to bring it down to the wire. Chris Burmester fighting out for third in the gold division, onto the back of Darren Christie as they fight on that little bit further in for the run. Chris Burmester 9th in the championship. Darren Christie is currently 15th in the championship. They are hounding each other left, right and center. I mean, man, oh man, what a fight. This has turned into a race of attrition. We looked at the clouds, we said it might not come, and well, I want to personally apologize to the entirety of the grid for commentators' curse coming into play and absolutely changing things up. Ruben Heineke keeps pressure on Darren Young at the moment, David Young at the moment, and David having a solid run, holds on at the back end of Chris Wall as he fights on for 5th position. Here comes Heineke slamming on by, can't quite get the drive side by side between the two Ferrari 296s. Which of the V6 turbochargers have enough little legs to run forward? Who's got enough ponies underneath them? Well, it's late on the brakes. Both of them are going to go sink it in deep, and it's going to be Heineke who was able to get ahead of David Young only just. Darren Christie going and opening up the run to the likes of Chris Burmester. They are fighting out for third in the class. Rafa into the pits and out. Rafa out of the pits will lead out the charge. Sean Skitter with 1:40 to go will have to look at the pit lane, and as he pulls in will be mincing his words because here comes Peterson up into second place. Peterson into second, but he will not be close enough to Rafa Sosa. Rafa, if he finishes up in first, if he finishes even in second ahead of Sean Skitter, he has taken second place away from Sean Skitter, who has been fighting desperately all season to try and hold on. So Rodeo has to do his final stop. He looks towards pit lane, says farewell, and that is going to allow Herman Whitner into the lead of the Platinum Division. Whitner, for the very first time, will look towards the sharp end of the field. He missed out by a fraction of a second at Alton Park for the victory, and now he is looking at scoring a victory here at Monza. Just needs to keep it going as David Roth will slip into second place. He just needs to finish. He just needs to make it work in his favor. Chris Wall moves up to third. He's going to be happy about that one. A stellar charge on his part to try and hold on to third place in the Platinum Division. And it is turning into a bit of a wild one. Tristan Ocleon looking to take his win here in the Gold Division. And Tristan Ocleon hasn't had the easiest of runs. He has yet to take a win in the race. And there it is, folks. Rafa Sosa takes the final checker flag of the season here at Monza. Rafa wins out Monza and is your second place diamond driver behind. Back on the top of the podium, Christoph Peterson retakes the crown in the Diamond Division. Christoph is your diamond champion with Rafa in second place. Mahath Musa will be coming across the line, taking third here at Monza. What a drive on his part. He was fourth in the championship. He was not close enough to Sean Skitter and Rafa Sosa coming into the race, but he may have just helped out to go and claw his way in. Sean Skitter finishes up in fourth. Herman Wepner, for the very first time here at ERA, takes the victory. He's been cheering his team on, and he's finally done it. After robbed by Henry Platt at Alton Park, he throws it into the wall. Tristan Ocleon takes his first ever victory in Server 1 for the gold division after qualifying so high every time. David Roth is your platinum champion, taking second place. Chris Wall comes across. Finley Gamble is your gold champion. He's going to be happy on that one. What a mental race. Chris Wall, Ruben Heineke, David Young, Sorodio, Darren Christie. It is burnouts, it's donuts, it is everything out here. And folks, we got to see it all at Monza. Oh my, what a race, what a time. And what did we just witness? History in the making. And it came down to the last race of the season. Every single season here at ERA, it has come down to the last race. A single point, a single charge to go and get our drivers to the line. And it was drama that pushed some to the back. It was drama that pushed some to the front. But man, oh man, what a season we have had here for season 18. And I do know there's going to be a couple of drivers a little bit bitter of how this race has gone, but we'll be looking back and saying, well, we gave it everything we had to push it down to the line, to get it this far, and what a fight it has been. And we're going to bring up one of our drivers. I know it's heartbreaking, and my heart breaks for him. I chat to him every time before the race. And it is the BMW driver who usually races a Z3, now racing in the M4. Henry, we had a chat before this race, and it was, what could we do? And heartbreak out of Ascari. Take us what happened out there, bud. You put out a hard fight, but it just looked like Monza wanted pieces of a BMW here tonight.
Yeah, no, first off, congrats to Mr. Roth. He had a good season. Would also help if I stop missing the first race. But yeah, I don't know, man. I had that one in the back and the car just, I don't know, just went around. I seriously don't understand. And the worst thing is I had fuel until the first rain came. I could have gone until the first rain came to change tires. Like, I had that thing so in the bag, it's not even funny.
We saw the anti-cut curb bite you on the inside right, on the exit of the right-hander, and that was all she wrote. But, I mean, that has been a race and a half. The start of the race, you nearly also... Well, we did see David Roth land up into the dirt in turn 1, but it was nearly you that landed up getting smashed to pieces. Did you see how close it was in the mirror of nearly having a Mercedes going through your boot?
I did see everyone. I did see like an orange car, and that's why I stayed to the left. So I actually saw the orange car coming too fast at the back. I think maybe that was Wall. I'm not sure. But yeah, I saw it and I actually just kept left a little bit. But it was so dodgy at the start there. I don't know how Rolf and them survived, but yeah.
Well, with that being said, Henry, it's been a championship fight down to the wire. It got down to the last race of the season. Looking back at it, I mean, success at Carlo, Valencia, Messina, Alton Park, Red Bull Ring, you've had to fight out in the Platinum. you took the fight to everyone. How are you feeling with this season now wrapped up? Season 18 behind you, but just the championship fight coming down to the wire here at Monza. I mean, this has been one of the closest championships you've been in for a while.
Hey, last season was exactly the same, man. But no, it was great. I mean, that previous race was one of the best races I've had in a long time. Obviously, tonight wasn't so great. I think I was doing well, but I guess the progress is good, and hopefully I can get fast enough to get into Diamond and race them there without having plus 50 in every race.
Well, you had a stellar one out there. Henry, before we let you go to enjoy the celebrations, you managed to go and fight your way up into the championship points. We'll get confirmation, but I do think you held on to second place in the championship. We'll have a chat to our mathematicians in the back, but anything you would like to say to all our partners here at ERA, Overtake.gg, to all the drivers, to all the teams, to your team, Moscow Motorsport, for the very first time being put on display for the car out here in the world of sim racing. The floor's yours.
Yeah, so hopefully the team will grow a bit here on the virtual world as well. We've got some of the members that want to start with sim racing. So then we'll see more Moscow cars. And then thanks to you and the organizers. Congrats to the winners, David Rolf again, congratulations. And congrats to Mr. Peterson. Must be pretty boring by now.
Well, finally getting the crown back after losing it by 1 point last season. But Henry, well done on a stellar fight, and we look forward to seeing you back for season 19, putting in a solid fight for the Platinum Championship and hopefully for the Diamonds.
Yeah, let's see, hopefully. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Steven.
Fingers crossed. Henry Platt, not quite the race he wanted, but still saw it through to the end. You got to go and give props to the young man for the hard work. Before we bring up our champion, we're going to have a chat to third place in the Platinum. Then we're going to have a chat to first place in the Platinum. And then our champion of Platinum before we move on to our first place and champion of our amazing run. Let's bring up Chris Wall.
Steven.
Man, oh man. Chris, what a fight out there. Third overall. And you managed to capture third in the Platinum Championship, only just ahead of David Young. The two of you were fighting tooth and nail. How are you feeling after that?
It's sweaty. That Ferrari is something else. At Monza, obviously David's a very good, talented driver anyway, but the Ferrari in a straight line is a scary thing to race. So, yeah, we kept finding each other on track as well, which made my evening much more stressful than I actually wanted it to be. And then when the rain came in as well, I just managed to make, I think, that ultimately the right call at the right time and got the result. But it was, he had the pace here. He deserved, on pace anyway, he deserved a better result than what he got, I think. And it's been a rough season for me. It's certainly one to forget, I think. But who knows what's happening in future seasons.
Well, with that being said, you were 8 points ahead of Herman Wepner. David Young, you were 4 points ahead. This was a fight for third place in the championship. Whoever got the leg up here at Monza is one to go and fight it out. Even though you say it's a season to forget, I still think it's a season to remember because it was a solid fight between yourself, David Young, Herman Wepner. You guys were trading blows and who was going to be at the sharp end for that third place. What went through your mind? Because we did see the start as a little bit of a chaotic moment.
Yeah, it was absolute chaos. So, well, firstly, just to take this time to say well done to David and Henry. They had a mother of all fight, and David had the pace, and Henry just had really good consistency throughout as well. So well done to you two. For me, yeah, it's the start was Monza T1 GT World Challenge recreated, I think, wasn't it? It just seemed to concertina up in front of me like the car. I was matching pace with the cars ahead, and then suddenly Ruan's car stopped, and I just didn't really feel I had the brakes to react to it. I was foot to the floor, but yeah, that Ferrari kept getting ever bigger. So yeah, that's one that will certainly get reviewed in the steward's office for sure, and we'll see what comes of it. But yeah, I just felt I didn't have the reaction time. But that, you know, obviously anyone who's driven with me knows I'm not a dirty driver. But there was a lot of collisions in that opening lap. So there's a lot for the stewards to do.
With that being said, the season has been a fight. Looking back at it, to seeing how close it was coming down to the final round, what's your closing thoughts on a phenomenal fight in the Platinum Division? Once again, coming down to the wire for first, second, and third, like we saw last season.
It would be good to have a couple more drivers. I think next season we'll have a couple of the golds. Finley and Tristan will be up in Platinum without a doubt. Maybe we'll drag Lewis up since he got second in the championship as well, and drag him kicking and screaming into Platinum. It'd be good to have a good fight next season as well. Hopefully David and Henry go up to Diamond. They've got the pace for it, but if they don't, then I'll still enjoy battling away with those guys whenever I get the chance to. It has been a fun season. Just had a bit of I was a bit gutted after Red Bull Ring and missing Alton Park, and it just seemed like the season's ended on a bit of a down, but you know, we take it as it is, and then I'm moving house soon, so I might not even drive next season. We'll see.
Well, it's been absolute wonderful to see you here, and good luck with moving house as well. We're looking forward to seeing the photos here at ERA. But what an incredible drive. Chris, well done on the third place. Well done for third in the championship. The Aston Martin still has got a few ponies left underneath that hood. That's for certain.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. And thank you for your commentary all season as well. Really enjoyable to watch it back.
Chris Wall going and having a phenomenal drive out there and just reliving some of that action, that side-by-side action just on screen is just absolutely incredible to go and have a chat to. We've gotten a couple of drivers before we move on to our champions. So I do apologize to Christoph Peterson, our champion in the Diamond, and David Roth, our championship in the Diamond. But I do want to get to those that haven't gotten onto the podium this season, and we're going to start off with first of the gold to jump on before we move on to first of our platinum. Let's bring in Tristan Ocleon for the very first time here in ERA Server 1 to go and see if we can have a chat to him, and let's see if we can possibly get him mic'd up. I think he's a little bit away at the moment, so while we wait for Tristan Ocleon, let's see if we can try and get Herman Wepner to come and have a chat to us then, while Tristan is busy. And there we go, Herman Wepner, welcome to the commentary box, and first time here in ERA, you are standing on the top step. You had Alton Park ripped away right at the wire, but now, coming down to Monza, you finally got to get your car across the line, first in the platinum. How are you feeling after that, and after the gamble of going for an earlier pit stop?
How's it, Stephen? Yeah, thank you for Henry Platt. Whatever he did, it worked out well for me. I saw on your stream on the second screen I'm having up here that he had a massive crash and he was in the pits for quite a while. So I just so happy to have passed him. Alton Park, he ripped it away from me, so thanks to him. Now, thanks to him, I'm on the podium first spot.
And right at the last, I mean, from your side, you've been pushing the team to go quicker and quicker, but luck hasn't been on your side to move forward. You were fifth in the championship. You were fighting out for third in the championship. This has been a testing one for you and for the team. But how are you feeling now that it's all done? You got to see the final checkered flag of the race, and considering the conditions just absolutely changed on you, as we see the likes of Roth going and falling off the circuit, and immediately you going around the outside. But just how you went from sunshine to monsoon rains. How was it for you?
I did some time on the practice servers and I saw how the servers behaved. Did some rain, sometimes for 2 hours, sometimes it stays for 15 minutes. So I was setting my car up on a two-stopper, one for fully dry and one for fully wet, hoping that the rain will come closer to the second half so I can do the switch. But yeah, rain lasted for about 10 minutes and then those wets started to go up to 35s red hot. So I was just trying to get the race done with him.
Well, it was a stellar drive, now I'm sure it's going to be landing up as a short form media very soon. But Herman, before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations after a stellar run, we're just going to wait for the finalizer points of it to see where exactly you may have fallen in between yourself, David Young, and Chris Wall. But anything you would like to say to all our partners here at ERA, to all the drivers, to all the teams, to your team that have been supporting you, and to everyone out in the virtual grandstands that have been cheering on from the sidelines and watching you back at home?
Well, Stephen, for yourself, thank you very much for commentating. It's always fun to share the link and show to everyone, family members, friends, and just to rerun it and have a look at the stream and see how it ended up and how everyone did. To the organizers, thank you very much. Thank you for the stewarding. It's always fair, spot on. My teammates, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have been doing the times I'm doing. So thank you to Bowmeister, Honeyball, Rick, Snowy, everyone. Just keep pushing each and every day. So practice makes perfect. So the result is eventually showing. It's now 3 in a row for Extreme, I think, in the gold and the plat.
Well, it's a 4th place in the championship for you post stewarding. So, well, pre-stewarding. So well done on that stellar drive, Herman. And congratulations on managing to capture that 4th position.
Thank you, Stephen.
Well, Herman Whitner for the Extreme Sim Racing team, going to be more than happy on that. Finally capturing that podium. Coming up to have a chat to us, and let's see if we can get him up onto the box. For the first time this season, has been one of the best qualifiers, but worst luck I've ever seen out of a gold driver. Tristan Ocleon, you managed to get the win. Finally, it has been 7 rounds and you got it at the end. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I have no idea where I got the pace from, but it was just, I got some sort of flow, I guess, and I don't know how to describe it. It was beautiful. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
And you got to take the fight to the platinum and the diamond divisions. We got to see that you going and fighting out with Rafa Sosa. One, Rafa driving on slick tires in the rain, for one, is insane. But you were fighting with those drivers, showing that, hey, listen, I might be gold now, but I'm going to be diamond very soon. So get to know the name. How was it out there in the mixed conditions? This is your first time in Server 1 in mixed conditions, fighting out against some of the fastest in the world.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I don't know if it was showed on the stream, but I had an incident with a Ferrari that rear-ended me. I think it was in the beginning of the race.
Oh, we saw that. We saw that. You got a prostate check of note.
Yeah. So I got like 30 seconds of damage to the car, and the top speed was gone. So at that point, it was just like driving as fast as I could. But Monza has a lot of like really long straights, so the top speed was really bothering me. So I went to the pit and repaired it. But after that, it was just it was fantastic. I've never driven a race like this before in my life, so fantastic.
Absolutely wonderful stuff, and hopefully next time we're going to put it all into a full championship win. Tristan, before I let you go to go and enjoy the celebration, taking the final checkered flag for the gold division here at Monza. Anything you would like to say to our partners here at ERA, to the drivers, to the teams that you got to race against, to anyone back at home that's busy shouting from the virtual grandstands as you finally got that win after so long?
Yeah, I want to thank ERA in general because I absolutely love the community. I love the people racing in it. I'm always looking forward to Sunday, to the races. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Last weekend we were with the Vanella Racing team barbecuing, and we meted our teammate who we have never seen before in real life, but only know him from ERA. So yeah, it's fantastic. I can nothing more to say. I think it's so nice.
Well, Tristan, you've been waiting all season. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, taking the win here in the gold division for round 7, Tristan Ocleon in the Mercedes has finally done it. Well done,
Thank
buddy.
you. Thank you. Have a nice.
Absolutely love to have it. And man, what a drive on his part. But we're going to have a chat to our champions. And then I know Ruin Heineke wants to say something from his part to all the drivers as well. He's had an incredible season. But let's start off with our champion in the Platinum division, who I think was sweating and now becomes a 2-time champion up against Henry Platt. It came down to points right to the wire, and he thought his race was done yet again in the turn 1. Indianapolis didn't work your way, David Roth. I mean, you landed up getting pushed into the dirt not too long ago into Indianapolis, but this season you got a victory at it. You now go and walk away a 2-time champion in the Platinum division, fighting against your long-term rival, Henry Platt. I mean, what a race out there. And the start of the race, you weren't even pointing in the right direction.
I may have miscalculated the breaking point, and I definitely apologize for that tap that I gave Ocleon at the beginning of the race. I know there's a penalty coming my way for that, 100%. But I thought it was completely over. I was like, well, there goes Platt. You know, he's so consistent. He's so quick. I just handed him everything, even with that penalty that he had to serve. And I thought it was completely over. I had almost given up. But my teammates in the group chat told me just stay in it, keep your head down, keep turning out the laps. You don't know what's going to happen. There's an hour and a half left, you know? And, oh, man, I just couldn't have dreamed that it would have turned out like that.
I mean, when you looked over to your relative to see Henry Platt is in the pits, what was the rush going through your mind at that time, thinking he's in the pits? This is it. You have an opportunity here just to find out, unfortunately, your rival taking a solid knock.
I mean, you always want to beat somebody on skill and pace alone. You know, I don't wish anybody to crash out to my benefit. It was actually Lewis Knight in the group chat who was saying, "Oh, Platt's turned around. Platt's turned around." And I was like, "Oh man, like this might be my opportunity." I didn't know how severe it was, but he was in the pits for a while. I can imagine that car was pretty banged up. I would have loved to have just beat him on pace and skill alone. Unfortunately, things played out a little bit different. But I wouldn't even consider him. He's a rival in the true sense of we were really on pace with each other and we have great battles. But I mean, he just forces me to get better. Like, and that's valuable. I really appreciate having somebody that can just stay on me like that and keep me on my A game. That's what we need in the sport.
And with that being said, you now can call yourself a 2-time Platinum champion. You heard that possibly getting moved up to Diamond, something you've been striving for a long time, to join your fellow Fear the Bones drivers out there. But you do know that you're going to be taking some competition with you. If you have to look back at this season, I mean, you've got the victory at Indianapolis. You had a poor Kyle Army. You got a victory at Valencia. Messino didn't go your way. Alton Park was not great. Red Bull Ring was going out the show. You were literally sitting 4 points behind. It has been a season of ups and downs, thrills and spills, dramas, and just everything going and getting lobbed into one lucky packet for you. How are you feeling looking back at it now and knowing that it's done? Season 18, you've done it. You've managed to be holding on to the crown. And might I add, you're the only one in all three divisions that's managed to retain the crown after last season.
Well, I do have to add one minor correction. Last season, I believe it was Miles Stone that won the plat.
Yes.
Yeah. But looking at the season, there was a ton of ups and downs. I think this is probably the hardest I've actually tried in in this league in a long time. I felt the real I got bit by the bug of competition. I needed to win this. It became an obsession, healthy or not. I had to have it. It's been a great time. I really got to hand it to Platt. He really gave me a run for my money this entire season. He's a phenomenal driver. I can't say that enough.
Well, with that being said, before I let you go, anything you want to say? A shout out to out in the virtual grandstands to the team's drivers here that got to support you, got shouts in your ear as we heard on the whole thing. But ultimately, any final words from our platinum winner for season 18 here at ERA Sunday Championship?
I mean, as always, just thank you to everybody on the ERA staff that makes this possible. Thank you to you, Steven, for making these streams well worth the watch. Appreciate everybody out on track. And one more time, I just got to give a shout out to Platt. You just kept me on my toes the entire time. There was no slacking off, no running away with this championship.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Well, I think Henry Platt's going to come back brawling left, right, and center. So you best hold on to that crown as tight as you can. David Roth,
I'll do my best.
Well done out there, and what a drive.
Thank you, Stephen.
An absolutely incredible run on his part. But let's have a chat to the fastest driver in ERA that finally recaptured his crown. He was going out for the flowers, couldn't quite beat Rafa tonight, but was the reason Sean Skitter will not be taking second place. Christoph Peterson, you managed to walk away on the podium throughout the season. It has been one of your great runs, but also going and seeing a fight through to the end. How are you feeling looking back at season 18 and this race that had just went absolutely all over the show? Sunshine, cloudy, rain, drying up, hot, cold, the works being thrown in.
This race was great. I again, it keeps happening lately. I couldn't practice at all. I only arrived home 5 minutes before the briefing, and used the time during the briefing. Normally, everyone who's listening, you should not do that. You should actually listen to the briefing. I used that time to practice a little bit, but my car wasn't set up ideally. My pressures were all right, but so the result is amazing, and it was great to battle Skitty for a bit. Honestly, I kind of prepared to have a battle with Rafa when he closed up to me. That didn't happen because of the rain, but it was great. And it was also great to see everyone else doing so well. It's unfortunate for Henry that he got a similar result as me last season in the last race and lost his championship. But at the same time, my teammate David got it. So that's kind of cool too. And yeah, the whole season, the individual races were as great as we had them last season, I would say. Just for me personally, the championship was of course not as tight and exciting throughout the whole season as last season because Ernest couldn't make it to all races and Rafa couldn't make it to all races. So I was kind of the only one collecting all the points. But still, like the 3-race win streak I had at the start of the season, I remember that really well. That was amazing, and also all races that came afterwards.
With that being said, the competition, the level of competition has definitely been there. The fights have been at the sharp end of the field. Looking back at the championship, seeing Rafa having a go at you, seeing Sean Skitter having a go at you, Mahayath Musa had a go at you. The competition is definitely there in terms of skill level. Do you feel that you're going to have to really think outside the box for the next season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that everyone will be there for 6 races, like each, so we can see like what Diamond, like how Diamond can consistently look, because I think this race has shown that everyone in the Diamond division is insanely quick and has it in them to get a podium or even win a race. Because Sean last race won his first race since 10 seasons, I think, and he's been consistently challenging for podiums in every single season since then. Moav started from the back today. I still don't know how he did that he got onto the podium with starting from the back. That must have been a really great strategy. Ruan Heineke was doing great today. So yeah, I'm just hoping that Ernest is going to be there the whole season. I hope Rafa is going to be there the whole season. I hope Skitty is carrying on like he did in the last 2 races. I hope Molano comes back, and I hope Bago comes back. I know he has some business venture going at the moment, so he can't race on Sundays, but I hope he can do it again soon, because when everyone actually shows up, I think we have an amazing division. And of course, gold and platinum are amazing too at the moment. And I think there are some people that can get to diamond within this year. You've seen Tristan do extremely well this race, and he's been doing extremely well all season, despite the bad luck, like tainting the results a little bit. And I'm also in talks with Henry and David if they maybe both want to go to Diamond to strengthen our ranks a little bit. So I think there are like many great prospects, and we'll have more competition for the next 2 seasons that we still have in this year too.
Well, it's definitely been a fight out of note. Before I let you go to enjoy the celebrations after a hard-fought season, a hard-fought race, and also to be a team captain and seeing Fear the Bones taking platinum and diamond here for season 18. Anything you want to say to all our partners here at ERA, to Overtake.gg, to the drivers, to the teams, to our amazing petrol heads out in the virtual grandstand, all the staff behind the scenes that are keeping the wheels rolling here at ERA and just pushing forward.
I just want to thank everyone you listed pretty much. Like, thanks to the drivers for attending, for enjoying our community as always. Thanks to the drivers, family and friends for watching, and everyone else who's watching our streams who may not be involved in ERA, but just enjoys watching racing. Thanks to you for commentating. I don't even know how many seasons you've been doing this for now. I think since season 11 or something. So also a long time, nearly 2 years now, I think. And the streams are as great as in the first race every single week. And thanks to everyone behind the scenes who's organizing it. And also to everyone who donated so we can carry the season costs for every season without Christian having to pay it from his own money all the time. Yeah, and I'm just hoping that we come back next season and it's going to be a big party again with 30 cars showing up and us having great battles at more great tracks.
It's going to be stronger, faster, harder. That is for certain. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he missed out on it in Season 17, but finally retakes the crown. Ladies and gentlemen, and it could say, now your champion, and it's not just a reoccurring champion. This is a champion, Christoph Peterson for the diamond. You've restarted your streak. Well done. You're back to number 1.
Thank you.
Christoph Peterson for Fear the Bones, finally grabbing the crown back and restarting his ranks. And what a drive it's been. Folks, it has been an insane season, top to bottom. Shout out to Sebastian Lucasen as well, who was tuning in from the sidelines. Shout out to the likes of Holmavir, along with Crazy Stunts, Ruin Heineke, and Turner Gamble, and so many more that have all been going and cheering in from the sideline. Those that even don't even write in the comments, but are just tuning in, being a part of the show. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our partner, Overtalk.gg, to all the stewards and admin behind the scenes here at ERA that keep the lights going, keeping us moving forward. And just what an incredible, incredible season we have had. But folks, we got plenty more to come. It's not the end of ERA. We're not going to walk away as retired now. On the 21st of June, we are back with round 5 of our Masters League, and it is heating up as the drivers look to fight it out yet again. Past and present champions get to duke it out, and also we have got our endurance season happening on as well. You want to go take a look on SimGrid for that one, or join us out on our Discord. And also keep an eye out for when we open up Season 19 right here at ERA. But folks, it's been an absolutely incredible time. I'd like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes, but also a massive thank you to you, the fans, the petrolheads, that come back every single week, cheering on, getting our drivers across the line, motivating them to push themselves out above the box and really stand at the top. Folks, it's been a great one. And for the final time of Season 18, folks, like always, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody, from ERA.